I reviewed the marriage registration form and submitted it to the clerk along with my fiancé, Chris. The clerk said, "Let me check this for you," and took the form. While we waited, Chris walked over to his family, looking happy. I thought about how we could build a happy family together and get along well with his family. But then I overheard Chris and his family talking, and their words shocked me. They said things like, "Once she submits the marriage form, she won't be able to escape us easily, and I finally got my servant. I won't have to work now." They even praised Chris for doing well and talked about how they could live luxuriously. One of them said, "I'll let her do all the housework and we can live gracefully from now on." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was frozen in surprise. The clerk, who had heard the conversation too, looked at me with wide eyes. Maybe Chris and his family were so excited that they didn't realize they were speaking so loudly. The clerk then whispered to me, "There's no problem with the form, but I'll give this back to you," and gently handed it back. I whispered, "Thank you so much," and put the form in my bag. My name is Mary, and I'm a 30-year-old office worker. I worked really hard to get into a top high school and university, and then landed a job at one of the world's most famous IT companies. I focused on doing my best at work, and I was promoted to section manager by the age of 30. The more I worked, the more results I saw, which I enjoyed because it suited my personality. But sometimes I feel lonely. It's been a long time since I had a boyfriend. When I see my friends getting married or having babies and looking happy, I sometimes feel sad and wonder if I'll be alone for the rest of my life. "Mary, what are you thinking about?" my coworker Justin asked. "Oh, hi Justin. Did I look like I was deep in thought?" I replied. "You looked like something was bothering you," he said. "It's nothing, but thank you for worrying," I responded. Justin walked away, but I started to think, maybe I really do need to find a boyfriend. I asked a friend for advice, and she threw a home party for me. That's where I met Chris. He's the same age as me and also works for an IT company, so we had a lot in common to talk about. We started dating, and things went smoothly as we got to know each other better and better. Chris is very family-oriented, and I got to meet his family early on. I was often invited to his parents' house for dinner. "Mary, nice to meet you. I'm Chris's mom, Catherine," she introduced herself. "And I'm his dad, Mark," his father said. "Nice to meet you. I'm Mary," I replied. Then his sister joined in. "Hi, I'm Chris's sister, Kate." I didn't know Chris had such a cute girlfriend. His family seemed really nice. "Do you have any foods you don't like?" they asked. "No, I can eat anything," I said. "Chris used to be a picky eater," his mom mentioned. "Oh, that was just a childhood thing," Chris chimed in. "What did Chris hate?" I asked. "He hated broccoli and asparagus. I had to shred them and hide them in meat," his mom said, laughing. "Mom, stop it. You're embarrassing me," Chris protested. They were such a friendly and happy family, just what I always wanted. When I was in middle school, my parents got divorced. I lived with my dad, while my sister lived with our mom. My sister and I didn't get along very well, so I wasn't too sad when we were separated. The reason for my parents' divorce was that they both loved their work and didn't want to handle the housework. In the end, they decided to split up, each taking one child, so they could equally share the responsibilities. Both my dad and mom had high incomes, so we never had any trouble living. My dad wasn't indifferent, but he mostly let me be on my own and gave me a lot of freedom. I really wanted to become independent, and I thought the best way to do that was to get into a top university and land a good job. So I studied really hard. Eventually, I was able to get a job at one of the most famous IT companies in the world. But even with all that success, I had never really felt the warmth of family love. That's why I adored Chris's warm and close-knit family. "Think of us as your other family," Chris once told me. I guess he said that because he knew about my situation. I was regularly invited to his parents' house for dinner. His sister Kate even started treating me like a real sister and often asked me for advice about work. After graduating from university, Kate got a job at a company that was pretty awful, long hours, no overtime pay, and way too much work. So she quit and started working part-time at an ice cream shop. Now she's looking for a full-time job and often asks for my advice. "Thank you, Mary. This is really helpful," she would say. "It's okay, Kate. I like talking to you," I'd reply. "Mary, you're like a real big sister." "I've always wanted a big sister," Kate told me one day. Oh, that's so sweet. My own sister never thanked me for anything and wasn't as nice as you at all, I said. Really? Then let's go to lots of places together, Kate suggested. Great, let's do that. I agreed. Wow, I'm so happy. There are so many cafes and restaurants I want to visit with you, Kate said excitedly. Okay, then let's go. We both have a day off, I replied. Yay, I'm so excited. Kate was really cute, and I was glad to get to know her better. It was around this time that Chris surprised me by proposing. Mary, will you marry me? I want to build a warm family with you, he said. I was so happy when Chris proposed to me, and we immediately told his family the good news. Oh, you're finally getting married, his mom exclaimed. Finally, Chris proposed to you. And now you're going to be my sister-in-law, Kate added excitedly. His family was thrilled, and they started talking about the wedding plans right away. Chris looked overjoyed too. That day, we had dinner with them and then headed home. When I got back to work, everyone congratulated me. Mary, are you getting married? They asked. Yes, I'm finally getting married, I replied, feeling happy and proud. Congratulations, they all said, and I thanked them. On our next day off, we were invited to Chris' parents' house again, this time for lunch. On the way there, Chris said, I have something important to tell you later. Okay, I replied, curious but expecting it to be something good since Chris seemed so happy. When we arrived at his parents' house, there was a stuffed turkey on the table. Are you celebrating something today? I asked. Chris's mom smiled and said, I'm just so happy thinking that Mary is going to be my daughter-in-law. She looked so sweet and shiny with joy as she said it. We opened some cold beers and enjoyed the turkey, chatting happily. After a while, Chris suddenly said, Oh, I almost forgot to tell you something important. I'm thinking of going to the marriage registry today. What? I was taken back. Actually, I've already prepared the paperwork, Chris continued. I was surprised. Sure, we were going to the marriage registry eventually. But why today? Is today a special day? I asked. No, it's not like that, Chris said. Then why are we doing it today? I asked, still confused. I just wanted to get it done as soon as possible, he explained. But why not wait until after the wedding? I suggested. The wedding is still a long way off, he replied. We had already visited several restaurants and found one we really liked for our wedding. However, it was a very popular place, so we could only reserve it for a few months later. I think we should wait until after the wedding, I suggested, feeling unsure about rushing things. No, I want to be married to you as soon as possible, Chris insisted. The sooner the better for us too, his mom added. Mary, I agree with Chris. You should get married as soon as possible, his dad chimed in. We had been planning to find an apartment that was conveniently located between both our workplaces. But then Chris said, yeah, about that. We were thinking of moving into this house together. What? I was completely surprised. I had assumed we'd be living on our own. I thought we'd be getting our own place. I mean, it takes time to find an apartment, and we also have to prepare for the wedding, Chris explained. That's why I think it would be better to live at my parents' house first and take our time finding an apartment. Chris might have had a point, but the idea of living with his family made me uneasy. I didn't have a great experience living with my own family, and although Chris's family members were all nice, I wondered if it would really be okay. Chris's mom reassured me, we're already ready to welcome you into our family. We understand your situation, so you don't have to worry about anything. After hearing that, I thought I might be able to live with them. Okay, thank you so much, I said, feeling a bit more comfortable. Then let's go to the marriage registry, Kate suggested, and everyone, including Chris and his parents, agreed. I finally said, okay, let's do it, and we all decided to go to the marriage bureau together. Kate, who hadn't been drinking, drove us there. I realized I might have had a bit too many beers and was feeling a little nervous. But as soon as we arrived, I felt the need to go to the bathroom. Before submitting the marriage registration form, I went to the bathroom. When I came back, I saw Chris's parents and Kate chatting happily. I rechecked the form and then submitted it to the clerk along with Chris. The clerk said, "Let me check this for you," and took the form. While we waited, Chris walked over to his family, looking pleased. I felt hopeful about building a happy life with him and getting along well with his family. Just as I was thinking this, I overheard parts of their conversation that filled me with dread. One of them said, once they submit the marriage registration form, she won't be able to escape us easily. Another added, I finally got my servant. I won't have to work anymore. Someone praised Chris, saying, you did really well. From now on, we can live luxuriously. I want a new purse, someone said, and another added, I want golf clubs. We can let her do all the housework. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What were they talking about? I froze in shock, and I noticed the clerk had also heard their conversation. Her eyes were wide with surprise. Maybe Chris and his family were so excited that they didn't realize they were speaking so loudly. The clerk looked at me and whispered, there's no problem with the form, but I'll give this back to you. She gently handed the marriage registration form back to me. I whispered, thank you so much, and quickly put it in my bag. Just as I did, Chris returned. Has it been submitted with no problems? He asked. Yes, I lied, then added, let's go home. I followed Chris and his family to the car. They had always seemed like a warm, friendly family, but now they just looked frightening. They drove me home that day, but the next morning, Chris told me that since we were married, we should start living together at his parents' house. I agreed and decided to move in, determined to find out if what I overheard was really true. Of course, I pretended that I had canceled my apartment plans and assured Chris that I would handle everything myself. I mentioned that I would sell my belongings to a recycling company soon. With that settled, we moved into his parents' house. However, as soon as I arrived, Chris's family's attitude changed dramatically. Mary, I manage all the finances in this house, his mother said sternly. So you need to put your entire salary into the household account. What? I was shocked, but Chris nodded in agreement. My mom will take care of it. She'll give you money for lunch and anything else you need. And she'll handle the household finances efficiently, Chris explained as if it were no big deal. Really? I asked, still trying to process what was happening. That's right, so don't worry about handing over your entire salary, his mom continued. Oh, and one more thing, you'll be responsible for all the housework. What? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Do you have a problem with that? His mom asked sharply. I'm working, so it's a bit much to handle all the housework on top of that, I replied, trying to reason with them. Oh, are you such a coward that you won't even try? She snapped back. What? I was stunned. Shut your mouth and start doing the chores, Chris's dad said, giving me the scariest look I'd ever seen from him. Even Kate chimed in, I like your brown bags. Buy some for me too. Chris added, Mary, you're now my wife and a member of this family, so you need to do everything we tell you to. At that moment, I realized this was their true nature. They had been planning to take advantage of me from the start. I don't want to, I said firmly. What? What'd you just say? Chris's mom asked, glaring at me. I can't accept everything you just told me, I replied, standing my ground. I won't do all the housework, and I won't give you my entire salary, I said firmly. When I said this, Chris and his family became furious. Hey Mary, what are you talking about? You're our daughter-in-law now. Just do what we tell you, Chris's mom said, her voice full of anger. Your only value is to make our lives easier, added Chris's dad. I'm not your daughter-in-law, I replied, standing my ground. What? Chris's mom was stunned. You had that conversation at the marriage bureau, didn't you? I asked. After what I overheard, I decided not to register our marriage. Their faces turned pale. Oh no, did you really not submit the form? Chris's mom asked urgently. I already threw the marriage registration form in the trash, I said. I can't live with people who take advantage of me. Let's just break up. Chris slumped to the floor, clearly devastated. I left the house immediately. It turned out that Chris's family had already planned an overseas trip for the four of them, including booking a luxury hotel and first-class airline tickets, all based on the assumption they'd be getting my salary. Since I broke up with Chris the day before the trip, they had to pay a lot of cancellation fees. Chris asked me to cover the cancellation fees, but of course I refused and blocked him from contacting me. Now, they're about $50,000 in debt and are all arguing with each other. It seems their only connection was money, and their relationships weren't very strong. Mary, did you cancel the marriage? Justin asked when I ran into him. Oh, Justin, you heard about that already, I said. Rumors spread fast, he noted, looking amused. You can laugh if you want, I said. I'm not laughing, I'm actually happy, Justin admitted, though he looked a bit embarrassed. Why's that? I asked. Because it means I have a chance, he replied. A few months later, Justin asked me out and recently proposed to me. I'm so happy now. Chris and his family were only nice to me at the beginning to take advantage of me. I'm relieved I discovered their true nature before we got married. I was curious about what happened next with Justin, but for now, I wish Mary a happy marriage this time around. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.
I always thought I'd feel beautiful on my wedding day. Instead, I feel like I'm burning alive in $3,000 worth of white satin and lace. You okay? Emma squeezes my hand as we stand just outside the reception hall doors. The string quartet inside has just finished tuning up. Just need a minute. I force a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. My makeup artist spent 90 minutes making me look effortlessly radiant, but my reflection in the mirrored wall shows a woman I barely recognize. Emma adjusts my veil, her eyes searching mine. Noelle, talk to me. Is this just normal wedding jitters or... I'm fine. The lie comes easily. I've been telling it to myself for weeks. The doors swing open and 100 faces turn toward me. Alfred stands at the front of the room, tall and impossibly handsome in his tuxedo. His smile is brilliant, practiced, the same one he uses to charm juries. My stomach twists. I scan the crowd as I walk in, nodding at colleagues, distant relatives, and Alfred's law partners. My mother sits rigidly in the front row, her approval as conditional as always. Bryant, my mentor, gives me a subtle thumbs up from his table. And then there's Violet, my sister, standing by the champagne fountain, looking everywhere but at me. The quartet begins playing as I make my entrance. Alfred extends his hand as I approach. His fingers are warm when they close around mine, but I feel nothing. Just hours ago, I found a text on his phone while he was in the shower. Not the first suspicious message I'd glimpsed, but the most damning. "You look stunning," he whispers. And for a second, I almost believe he means it. The officiant begins, and I go through the motions. My voice sounds distant to my own ears as I repeat words about honor and cherishing. Alfred's vows are eloquent, of course. He's always been good with words, too good. If anyone can show just cause why this couple cannot lawfully be joined together in matrimony, let them speak now or forever hold their peace. The traditional pause, a few awkward chuckles from the crowd, and then, "I have something to say." The voice cuts through the room like a blade. Conversations stop. Glasses freeze midway to lips. I don't need to turn to know it's Violet. "I'm sorry, Noelle." My sister's voice wavers. "I can't let you do this." The room tilts slightly. Alfred's hand tightens around mine, his fingernails digging into my palm. "Violet, this isn't the time," my mother hisses, half rising from her seat. But Violet continues, each word striking like a physical blow. "Alfred and I have been sleeping together for the past 8 months. The collective gasp seems to suck all the oxygen from the room. I turn slowly, feeling as though I'm moving underwater. Violet stands there in her maid of honor dress, the one I spent weeks helping her choose, her face flushed, eyes glassy with tears that look almost genuine. "It started as just one night," she continues, her voice growing stronger. "But it became more. I'm in love with him, Noelle, and he loves me too." I look back at Alfred, whose face has drained of color, not from shock, from being caught. The calculation is already happening behind his eyes. I can see it, having witnessed it in the courtroom. He's measuring responses, weighing options. "Noelle," he starts, his tone placating, the same tone he uses with difficult clients. "This isn't, she's confused." 8 months, I repeat, my voice surprisingly steady. "That would be right after our engagement party, wouldn't it?" Alfred blinks, thrown by my calmness. "She's making this up. You know how Violet gets always wanting attention. The text I saw this morning, I continue, the one that said, "After today, we won't have to hide anymore." That wasn't from a client, was it? The room is so quiet I can hear the ice melting in abandoned drinks. My mother's face is a mask of horror. Emma has moved closer, ready to catch me if I fall. But I won't fall, not here. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I ask, loud enough for everyone to hear. Or did you just not care? Alfred reaches for my arm. Let's discuss this privately. I step back, out of his reach. There's nothing to discuss. I turn to face our guests, these people who came to celebrate our love. Some look horrified, others embarrassed. A few, Alfred's friends, almost amused. I remove my engagement ring, the 3-carat diamond catching the light one last time. Thank you all for coming, I say, my voice clear and controlled. Unfortunately, there won't be a wedding today. I place the ring in Alfred's palm, closing his fingers around it. His expression shifts from damage control to genuine alarm. He hadn't expected this version of me. Noelle, don't. I cut him off with a single look. Then I turn to Violet, who's watching with wide eyes, like she's surprised by the consequences of her own actions. Thank you, I tell her, and confusion flickers across her face. Thank you for the confirmation. I walk back down the aisle alone, head high, the weight of 100 stairs on my back. The heavy doors close behind me with a decisive thud, and only then do I allow myself a single shuddering breath. The dress that took 6 months to perfect now feels like a costume I can't wait to shed. The hotel room ceiling has a small water stain in the corner. I've been staring at it for hours, watching how it changes shape in the shifting darkness. 3 in the morning, and sleep feels like a distant memory. I kick off the suffocating duvet and sit up. My wedding dress is crumpled in the corner where I left it, a white ghost haunting the room. I should have burned it. My phone lights up for the 47th time tonight. Alfred again. I don't need to read the message to know what it says. They've all followed the same pattern. Denial, then anger, then desperate pleas for me to answer him so he can explain. What is there to explain about sleeping with my sister? I scroll through older messages instead, hunting for clues I missed. There are hundreds between us, daily check-ins, dinner plans, sweet nothings, lies, all of them. But something catches my eye, a text from 3 months ago. Can't make dinner tonight. Emergency client meeting. Don't wait up. I remember that night. I'd called his office when he didn't answer my texts, and his secretary said he'd left early. I'd brushed it off, trusting him completely. That same night, Violet had canceled our weekly sister lunch for the following day. A terrible migraine, she'd claimed. My fingers move before my brain catches up, dialing Emma's number despite the hour. I'm awake, she answers immediately. Are you okay? I need you to tell me something, I say, my voice hoarse. That weekend we went to the coast 3 months ago. Did Violet say anything about where she was the night before? Emma hesitates. She mentioned meeting friends for drinks. Why? Which friends? She didn't say. Noelle, what's going on? I close my eyes. I think it's been happening longer than 8 months. The silence on the other end confirms my suspicion that Emma had the same thought. I'm coming over, she says finally. No, I need to be alone tonight. I pause. But tomorrow, I need your help with something. Brian's office has always been my sanctuary. The smell of old books and coffee, the view of the city skyline, the quiet confidence of a space where I've grown from nervous intern to partner-track architect. You should take some time off, he says, leaning against his desk. His eyes are kind but concerned. No one would blame you. I'd blame me. I straighten the models on his shelf, needing to fix something, anything. Work is the only thing that makes sense right now. Bryant sighs. Noel, I hired someone, I blurt out. A private investigator. His eyebrows shoot up. To what end? I need to know everything. My voice doesn't waver. How long it's been happening? If there were others, I need facts, not just Violet's version. And then what? Bryant asks gently. I don't have an answer. Not one I'm ready to say out loud. My phone buzzes. A text from the PI I hired this morning. Found something? Meeting in 20? The cafe is busy enough that our conversation won't be overheard. The investigator, a woman named Jess, with shrewd eyes and a no-nonsense attitude, slides a folder across the table. That was fast, I say. Some things are easy to find if you know where to look. She taps the folder. Credit card statements, hotel receipts, phone records. They weren't exactly careful. My hands shake as I open it. The first page is a credit card statement. Alfred's. Multiple charges at a hotel downtown, dating back nearly a year. The same hotel every few weeks. A year, I whisper. They've been doing this for a year. Jess nods. There's more. Your sister's social media has them in the same locations too many times to be coincidental. Different cities even. They took a weekend trip to Chicago 3 months ago. The coast trip, the migraine, the client emergency. It all clicks into place. That's not all, Jess continues, her voice softening slightly. There are text messages. I managed to recover some deleted ones from the cloud backup. I flip to the next page and immediately wish I hadn't. The messages between them are explicit, intimate, plans and promises, discussions about their future. After I was out of the picture, soon we won't have to hide, Alfred had written. Just a few more months until the wedding and the prenup is signed. Then we'll have everything we need. The prenup. The one that would have given Alfred access to my trust fund if we stayed married for at least a year. The inheritance my grandfather left specifically to me, not Violet. This wasn't just an affair. It was a con. My phone rings, Violet's name flashing on the screen. For the first time since yesterday, I answer. Noel, thank God, she breathes. I've been so worried. Can we talk? Please? I need to explain. Where are you right now? I ask, my voice eerily calm. At Mom's. She's not happy with me. I bet she isn't. I close the folder, my decision made. Tell me something, Violet. Was it worth it? What? Was destroying me worth whatever he promised you? She starts to cry, those familiar tears that have gotten her out of trouble our entire lives. It wasn't like that. I fell in love. You fell in love with my fiancé and my money, I cut in. That's quite a coincidence. Her crying stops abruptly. What are you talking about? I know about the prenup, Violet. I know about Chicago. I know everything. The silence stretches between us. This isn't over, I say finally, not by a long shot. I hang up and look at Jess, who's watching me with something like respect. What's next? She asks. I take a deep breath. Everything. I want to know everything. 3 days after my wedding that wasn't, I sit cross-legged on my living room floor surrounded by evidence of my former life's implosion. Jess has been thorough. Hotel receipts, photos, text message logs, and location data spread around me like the world's most depressing puzzle. I pick up a photo of Alfred and Violet at a restaurant in Chicago, his hand on hers, both smiling like they'd invented happiness. The timestamp matches our coast trip perfectly. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. You still alive in there? I haven't left my apartment since meeting with Jess. Haven't showered today either, if I'm being honest. Barely, coming up for air soon. Good, Bryant called. He's worried. I set down my phone without responding. Bryant's concern feels like one more responsibility I can't handle right now. The evidence tells a story I'm still struggling to accept. Alfred and Violet's affair began just weeks after he proposed. not after the engagement party as she claimed at the wedding. Their Chicago trip wasn't the only one. They'd been to New York twice, once, while I was at a conference in Seattle. The prenup Alfred had insisted upon, just to protect us both, had been carefully designed to give him access to my inheritance after a year of marriage. And Violet, my little sister, the girl I'd protected from bullies, helped through college, defended to our mother countless times. She'd been planning to move in with him after I signed those papers. My doorbell rings, startling me. Through the peephole, I see Alfred, looking haggard in rumpled clothes. "I know you're in there, Noelle," he calls through the door. "We need to talk." My heart hammers against my ribs. I press my back against the wall, willing him to leave. "I'm not going anywhere until you open this door," he continues, his lawyer voice slipping into place. The neighbors are starting to notice. That calculated manipulation, using my concern for appearances against me, ignites something molten in my chest. I swing the door open. Alfred's eyes widen at my appearance. Unwashed hair, sweatpants, dark circles under my eyes. Good. Let him see what he's done. "You have 30 seconds, I say. He pushes past me into the apartment before I can stop him, then freezes when he sees the evidence spread across my floor. "What is all this?" His voice has lost its confidence. "Your life, Alfred, or at least the parts you tried to hide." He picks up a hotel receipt, his face paling. "You had me investigated? That's invasive, unethical, funny coming from the man who was sleeping with my sister while planning to steal my inheritance." Alfred's expression shifts, the mask slipping to reveal something calculating beneath. "It wasn't like that." "No? Then explain the prenup. Explain why you needed access to my trust fund after 1 year of marriage." "That was standard protection." "For whom?" I step closer. "The prenup my lawyer drafted protected both of us. The one you insisted on replacing it with protected you. Only you." He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. Now I see it for what it is, a practiced move to appear vulnerable. "I made a mistake with Violet," he says, voice softening. "A terrible mistake, but I love you, Noelle. I've always loved you." Something breaks loose inside me, a laugh so bitter it scrapes my throat. "You've never loved anyone but yourself. That's not fair." "Fair?" I grabbed the Chicago photo and thrust it at him. "Was this fair? This was the weekend I was with Emma, grieving the anniversary of my father's death. You knew that. You knew what that weekend meant to me." His silence is damning. "Get out," I whisper. "Noelle, get out," I scream, my voice cracking. "Before I call the police and tell them how you tried to defraud me." That gets his attention. Alfred straightens, lawyer mode fully engaged. "You have no proof of intent to defraud." I gesture to the floor. "I have enough to make your life very uncomfortable. Your firm doesn't like scandals, does it? Especially ones involving senior associates and inheritance schemes." His jaw tightens. "This isn't over." "Actually, it is." I open the door. "And Alfred, tell Violet I know about the necklace too." His eyes flicker with confusion, then alarm. "I don't have any information about a necklace. It was a shot in the dark." But his reaction tells me there's something there, something I need to find. After he leaves, I collapse onto the couch, adrenaline draining away. My phone rings. "Bryant again?" This time I answer. "I'm alive," I say before he can speak. "Glad to hear it." His voice is warm with relief. "Listen, I need to tell you something. Alfred came by the office yesterday." I sit up straight. "What? Why?" "He wanted to know if you'd been in contact with any of our clients, specifically the Westmore development." The Westmore development, my biggest project. The one that could make my career. He claimed that as your fiancé, He was concerned about your mental state affecting the project. Bryant continues. I showed him the door, but Noel, he's trying to undermine you professionally. Cold clarity washes over me. This isn't just about my heart or my money anymore. Alfred is trying to destroy everything I've built. I'll be in tomorrow, I tell Bryant, already gathering the evidence into a folder. You sure you're ready? I look around my apartment at the shrine to betrayal I've been building. I can't hide forever, and I need to find out what this necklace is about. What necklace? I don't know yet, I admit, but I think it might be the key to understanding why Violet really did this. The Westmore presentation boards gleam under the conference room lights. I've spent the last 3 days rebuilding myself through work, showered, dressed in my sharpest suit, armed with coffee and determination. If Alfred wants to question my professional competence, I'll answer with excellence. They're going to love this, Bryant says, examining my revised designs. The sustainability elements are inspired. Thanks. I straighten papers that don't need straightening. Any word on who's representing the Westmores today? Bryant hesitates. Their regular counsel and Alfred. My hands freeze. What? He's claiming the Westmores specifically requested him. I tried to have him removed, but it's fine. I cut him off, though it's anything but fine. I can handle Alfred. Bryant studies me. You don't have to do this today. Yes, I do. I check my reflection in the glass wall. He's trying to rattle me. I won't give him the satisfaction. The conference room door opens, and the Westmores enter, Robert and his daughter Melissa, followed by their financial advisor. And then Alfred, looking immaculate in a suit I helped him choose last Christmas. Our eyes meet. His hold a warning, mine a promise. Noel? Robert Westmore embraces me warmly. Bryant tells me you've been working miracles with our project. Just doing my job, I smile, ignoring Alfred completely. Shall we begin? The presentation flows smoothly. I walk them through the redesigned community space, the green energy implementations, the cost-saving measures that don't sacrifice quality. I'm in my element, confident and clear. Then Alfred clears his throat. I have some concerns about the timeline. I keep my expression neutral. The timeline is aggressive but achievable. Given recent events, he continues, eyes fixed on me, I wonder if the firm can guarantee consistent project management. There it is, the attack I anticipated. If you're referring to my personal life, Alfred, I say, my voice steady, I assure you it has no bearing on my professional commitments. I'm simply concerned about emotional stability. A valid concern, I interrupt, turning to the Westmores, which is why I've implemented additional oversight protocols and brought in Tara from our sustainability team as support. You'll find the details on page 12 of your packets. Alfred blinks, caught off guard by my preparation. Melissa Westmore flips to the page. This is impressive, Noel. You've thought of everything. Not everything, Alfred mutters. Robert Westmore frowns. Is there something specific troubling you, Alfred? Because from where I sit, Noel has addressed all our concerns thoroughly. Alfred forces a smile. Just doing my due diligence. The meeting concludes with handshakes and approvals. As everyone files out, Alfred lingers. Clever move, he says once we're alone, but this isn't over. It was over the moment Violet opened her mouth at our wedding, I reply. Now it's just cleanup. His eyes narrow. Speaking of Violet, she's quite upset about your accusation. What accusation? About the necklace. She says she doesn't know what you're talking about. I maintain my poker face. Interesting that she's so upset about something she knows nothing about. Alfred steps closer. Whatever you think you know, I know enough. I gather my materials, and I'm learning more every day. His expression hardens. Be careful, Noel. You might not like what you find. The threat hangs in the air as he leaves. Only when the door closes do I allow myself a shaky breath. You bluffed? Emma laughs, pouring more wine into my glass. We're at her apartment, safely away from any memories of Alfred or Violet. That's brilliant. It was a guess, I admit, but his reaction told me everything. There's something about a necklace that matters to them both. Emma's smile fades. Do you think it could be your grandmother's emerald? The one your mom gave you for the wedding? My stomach drops. The emerald necklace, a family heirloom meant to be worn by Henderson women on their wedding days. My mother had presented it to me with rare emotion, a moment of connection between us. I never even wore it, I whisper. It was in my jewelry box for the ceremony. Emma sets down her glass. When did you last see it? I close my eyes, thinking. The rehearsal dinner. I showed it to Violet when she came to my room to borrow earrings. And after the wedding chaos? I haven't checked. My hands begin to shake. You don't think... Emma's expression is grim. Call your mother. The conversation with my mother is brief and painful. Yes, the necklace is missing. No, she hasn't seen it since giving it to me. Yes, she's furious about the wedding disaster. No, she doesn't want to discuss Violet's behavior. After hanging up, I stare at my phone. If they stole my grandmother's necklace, then this wasn't just about the trust fund. Emma finishes. It was about hurting you completely. My phone pings with a text from Jess. Found something on V's friend Daria. You'll want to see this. Attached is a photo of Daria and Violet at a cafe, huddled in conversation. The timestamp is 2 days ago, but what catches my eye is the glint of green at Violet's throat, partially hidden by her scarf. My grandmother's emerald. I need to talk to Daria, I say, showing Emma the photo. Violet's best friend? She'll never betray her. Maybe not. I finish my wine. But Daria and I were friends once too, before Violet claimed her. And unlike my sister, Daria has a conscience. I send a text to Daria. We need to talk about the necklace Violet's wearing. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Riverside Cafe. Come alone. The response is immediate. How did you know? I don't answer. Let her worry overnight about what I know and what I don't. Tomorrow, I'll start getting real answers. Riverside Cafe bustles with morning customers. But I spot Daria immediately. She's hunched over her coffee, eyes darting nervously toward the door. When she sees me, her face pales. I slide into the seat across from her, setting my phone face up on the table, recording app ready. Thank you for coming, I say, keeping my voice neutral. Daria's fingers twist around her cup. I almost didn't. But you did. That says something. She looks thinner than I remember, dark circles under her eyes. Violet's friendship has always come with a cost. I don't know what you think I can tell you, she begins. I pull out the photo and place it between us. You can start by explaining why my sister is wearing my grandmother's emerald necklace. Daria stares at the picture, then closes her eyes briefly. I told her not to wear it in public, so you knew she took it. Not initially. Daria's voice drops. She showed up at my place after your wedding, or non-wedding, wearing it under her dress. Said it was a gift from your mother. My mother would never give Violet that necklace. The certainty in my voice makes Daria flinch. It's been passed to the eldest daughter for generations. That's what I thought, but Violet was convincing. I lean forward. What else has she convinced you of, Daria? She looks away. I don't want to be in the middle of this. You already are. I keep my voice gentle but firm. How long have you known about her and Alfred? Since Christmas. She meets my eyes finally. I saw them together at the mall when they were supposedly shopping separately for your gifts. They didn't see me. 6 months. While I was planning my wedding, my friend knew my sister and fiancé were betraying me. Why didn't you tell me? Daria's eyes fill with tears. Violet said it was just physical, that it would end before the wedding. Then she said Alfred was leaving you anyway, that you were too focused on your career to make him happy. Each word is a fresh cut. I take a steadying breath. And the trust fund? The prenup? Daria looks genuinely confused. What prenup? I explain briefly about Alfred's financial scheme. Daria's expression shifts from confusion to horror. I didn't know about any of that, she whispers. Violet never mentioned money. What did she mention? Daria hesitates. She said it was finally her turn to be the favorite. The words hit me like a physical blow. Her turn? She's always felt second best. To you, the successful daughter, the one your mother respects, the one who got the family heirlooms and the trust fund from your grandfather. That's not... I stop myself. Isn't it true? Our mother has always been harder on Violet, comparing her unfavorably to me. And our grandfather did leave his money only to me, saying Violet was too irresponsible. That doesn't justify what she did, I say finally. No, Daria agrees. It doesn't. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a small velvet pouch. I took this from her yesterday, told her I needed to borrow it for a date. My grandmother's emerald necklace spills into my palm, the green stone catching the light. My throat tightens. Why are you giving this to me? Daria looks miserable. Because I should have told you at Christmas, because what they're doing is wrong. As I'm processing this, the cafe door opens. Violet walks in, freezing when she sees us together. Her eyes lock on the necklace in my hand. You bitch, she hisses at Daria. You said you needed it for a date. Daria stands, gathering her things. I'm sorry, Violet. I can't do this anymore. She squeezes my shoulder before hurrying out, leaving me alone with my sister. Violet slides into the vacant seat, her initial shock hardening into defiance. So now you're turning my friends against me too? I didn't have to turn anyone. Your actions did that. She scoffs. Always so self-righteous. Poor Noelle, the perfect victim. Why did you take this? I hold up the necklace. It wasn't enough to take Alfred? Something flickers across her face. Pain, maybe even shame, before the mask returns. Mom should have given it to me. She only gave it to you because you're the responsible one. So you stole it. I borrowed it. Like you borrowed my fiancé. The words come out sharper than intended. Violet leans forward. Alfred and I love each other. That part wasn't a lie. And the prenup? The plan to access my trust fund? Was that love too? Her expression falters. What are you talking about? For a moment, I almost believe her confusion is genuine, but I've seen the evidence. Stop lying, Violet. I know everything. Clearly you don't, she snaps. Alfred never mentioned any trust fund to me. A cold feeling spreads through my chest. Then why? Because I was tired of being second place. Her voice rises, drawing glances from nearby tables. My entire life, it's been, why can't you be more like Noelle? Do you have any idea what that's like? So you destroyed my wedding to get back at me? I struggle to keep my voice steady. How does that make you first place in anything? Violet's eyes fill with tears that, for once, seem real. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I was drunk, emotional. Alfred said we should wait until after. She stops abruptly. After what? I press. Nothing. She stands, grabbing her purse. Keep the stupid necklace. It doesn't matter anymore. As she turns to leave, I catch her wrist. Violet, if Alfred was using you too. He loves me, she insists, but uncertainty clouds her eyes. He's going to prove it. How? She pulls away. You'll see. We both will. After she leaves, I sit motionless, the necklace heavy in my hand. My phone buzzes with a text from Jess. Found something in A's email. Meeting tonight? I reply immediately, yes, and bring everything you have on my mother's finances. The pieces are starting to fit together, forming a picture I never expected, one where Violet might be as much a victim as I am. Your mother is broke. Jess slides financial statements across my kitchen table, or she will be very soon. I stare at the documents, trying to make sense of them. Bank accounts nearly empty. Credit cards maxed out. A second mortgage on the family home I grew up in. That's impossible, I say. My mother is obsessively careful with money. Was, Jess corrects. Something changed about 18 months ago. Large withdrawals, luxury purchases, a trip to Monaco. Monaco? My mother, who considers a weekend in the Hamptons an extravagance? Could someone have stolen her identity? Jess shakes her head. The purchases were made in person. Credit card receipts have her signature. I flip through the statements again, noticing a recurring charge. What's Horizon Partners? Investment firm. Very exclusive. Jess pulls up information on her tablet. Minimum buy-in of $200,000. The amount matches a withdrawal from my mother's retirement account. And look who's on their client relations team. Jess turns the tablet toward me. Alfred's face smiles back at me from the company website. I don't understand, I whisper. Alfred is a corporate lawyer. He doesn't work in investments. According to my sources, he doesn't work for Horizon officially. He refers select clients for a commission. My mind races. Alfred met my mother through me 3 years ago. He proposed a year and a half ago, right when these financial changes began. He's been playing a longer game than I realized, I say, feeling sick. But why involve Violet? Insurance, maybe. Jess gathers the papers. Or just keeping it in the family. I think of Violet's confusion about the trust fund, her insistence that Alfred loves her. What if she's telling the truth about not knowing his financial motives? I need to talk to my mother. My childhood home looks smaller somehow, the garden less immaculate than I remember. My mother opens the door before I can knock, her expression guarded. This is unexpected, she says, not moving to let me in. We need to talk. I hold up the financial documents. About Horizon Partners. Her face pales. She glances at the neighbor's house, then pulls me inside. The living room is the same as always, formal, impeccable, unlived in. But there are subtle changes. The silver candlesticks missing from the mantel. The space where a small painting once hung. Where did you get those? She demands, nodding at the papers in my hand. That's not important. What matters is that Alfred has been stealing from you. She laughs, a brittle sound. Don't be ridiculous. Alfred helped me invest my money. In a scheme. Mom, Horizon Partners isn't legitimate. They take your money and… Stop. Her voice is sharp. I know exactly what I invested in. The returns have been exceptional. Have you actually received any returns, or just statements showing growth? Her hesitation tells me everything. Mom, I say gently, when was the last time you tried to withdraw money from this investment? She sits down heavily. They require a 12-month commitment, which conveniently would have ended right after my wedding. I sit beside her, after I signed Alfred's prenup giving him access to my trust fund. That's absurd. Alfred wouldn't… She stops, uncertainty crossing her face. He and Violet are both involved, yes, though I'm starting to think Violet doesn't know the full extent of it. My mother's composure cracks. I've lost everything, haven't I? The vulnerability in her voice strikes me. I've never seen her like this, scared, diminished. Not everything, I say. We can fight this, but I need to know when Alfred first approached you about investing. She tells me everything, how Alfred had mentioned exclusive investment opportunities, how he'd shown her fabricated success stories, how he'd made her feel special for being included. "I was trying to secure our future," she says. "Your father never left us with much security." The mention of my father, who died believing he'd provided well for us, stings. "Did Violet know about your investments?" My mother nods slowly. "Alfred brought her to one of the meetings, said it would be good for her to learn about finance." "And she never mentioned it to me?" "I asked them not to. I wanted to surprise you with the returns." Her laugh is hollow. "I was a fool." As we talk, pieces click into place. Alfred cultivated relationships with both my mother and sister, using each relationship to strengthen his position. The prenup was the final piece, access to the one fortune he couldn't touch otherwise. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. 911. "Violet just called me crying. She's at Alfred's apartment and needs help. Says he's showing his true colors." Cold dread washes over me. I have to go. Violet's in trouble. My mother grabs my arm. "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done from the beginning. Protect my sister." "After what she did to you?" Disbelief colors her voice. "She's still my sister." I head for the door, and Alfred has been manipulating all of us. "Noelle," my mother calls after me. "Be careful. Men like Alfred, they don't like losing." Outside, I call Emma. "I'm on my way to Alfred's. Call Bryant and tell him what's happening." "Shouldn't we call the police?" I think of Alfred's connections, his ability to charm and manipulate. "Not yet. First, I need to get Violet out of there." As I drive, another text comes through. From Violet this time. "I'm sorry. You were right about everything. He wants the necklace back. Says it's worth more than I know." The emerald necklace, still in my purse from this morning. What did Alfred say? "You might not like what you find." I press the accelerator harder. Whatever game Alfred is playing, it ends tonight. Alfred's luxury apartment building gleams like a fortress of glass and steel. The doorman recognizes me, his eyes widening slightly. "Ms. Harper, I thought—" "I'm expected," I lie, striding past him. In the elevator, I check my phone. No new messages from Violet. Emma is 20 minutes away. Bryant hasn't responded. My fingers close around the velvet pouch in my purse, the emerald necklace suddenly heavy with significance. The elevator opens directly into Alfred's penthouse. The space is immaculate as always. Minimalist furniture, strategic lighting, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. No sign of disturbance. No sign of Violet. "Hello?" My voice echoes in the open space. Alfred emerges from his home office, tumbler of whiskey in hand. He looks unsurprised to see me. "Noelle, what an unexpected pleasure." His tone is smooth, controlled. "Where's Violet?" He takes a deliberate sip. "Not here." Cold fear grips me. "She texted me, said she was with you." "Did she?" He sets down his glass. Phones can be so unreliable. I pull out my phone, showing him Violet's message. "Stop playing games. Where is my sister?" Alfred studies the text, then smiles. "Ah, she was here earlier. We had a disagreement. She left." "Without her phone?" I step closer. "What did you do to her?" "Always so dramatic." He sighs. "I simply explained some financial realities she wasn't prepared to accept. Like how you've been scamming my mother?" His expression flickers, surprise, quickly masked. "I've helped your mother make sound investments." "In a fake company with non-existent returns?" I move toward the windows, keeping distance between us. "The game is over, Alfred. I know everything." He laughs, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "You always think you know everything. That's your problem, Noelle. So convinced of your own superiority. This isn't about me. It's about what you've done to my family." "Your family?" His voice hardens. "The mother who values status over happiness? The sister who's been jealous of you her entire life? They were easy to convince, Noelle, because deep down, they wanted to believe they deserved more than you gave them. Each word lands like a blow, but I hold my ground. Where is Violet's phone? He gestures vaguely toward his office. Probably in there. She was quite upset when she left. I move toward the office, keeping my eyes on him. The door is ajar, desk lamp casting shadows across the room. Violet's phone lies on the desk beside. I freeze. Beside it is a jeweler's loop and a document titled Emerald Authentication. Curious about the necklace? Alfred appears in the doorway behind me. It's quite a remarkable piece, much more valuable than your family realizes. I turn slowly. What are you talking about? The emerald. He steps into the room. Colombian, exceptional clarity, over 15 carats, conservatively worth $500,000, more with its historical provenance. My mind races. My grandmother's necklace is a family heirloom, not some priceless gem. Your grandmother's? He laughs. That necklace dates back to the 1850s. It belonged to a Spanish countess before making its way to America. Your family probably has no idea of its true origin or value. The pieces click together. That's why you wanted me to wear it at the wedding. You were going to steal it. Not steal, simply relocate. His smile is cold. I have a buyer who's been looking for exactly such a piece. No questions asked. And when I didn't wear it to the wedding, Violet proved useful after all. He shrugs. She took it without prompting, a gift from the universe. Disgust rises in my throat. Did you ever care about either of us? Business is business, Noelle. He steps closer. Now, I believe you have something that belongs to me. The necklace doesn't belong to you. Neither does your grandfather's trust fund, but that didn't stop you from hoarding it. His voice turns silky. You never planned to share with Violet, did you? Even knowing how your mother always favored you? I won't let him manipulate me. Where is Violet now? Safe, probably crying to one of her friends. He holds out his hand. The necklace, Noelle. And if I don't give it to you? His expression hardens. Then things become unpleasant for everyone. My phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. It's Daria. Violet is with me. She's scared. Alfred threatened her. Relief floods through me, followed by clarity. I need to keep Alfred talking until Emma arrives. You know what I don't understand? I move toward the window, putting the desk between us. Why the elaborate scheme? Why not just steal the necklace? Because I'm not a thief, he says, affronted. I'm an opportunist. The trust fund was the primary goal. The necklace was a bonus. And my mother's investments? Seed money, establishing credibility. He smiles. Your mother was surprisingly easy to convince, so eager to prove her financial acumen. You destroyed her retirement for seed money? Anger burns through me. Collateral damage, he shrugs. Now enough stalling. The necklace. I reach into my purse, fingers closing around the velvet pouch. You know what the worst part is, Alfred? I actually loved you. And I appreciated that about you. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Love makes people so wonderfully compliant. The elevator chimes in the living room. Alfred's head turns slightly at the sound. In that moment of distraction, I press send on the voice recording app that's been running since I entered the apartment, forwarding the file to Emma, Bryant, and Jess. Alfred's eyes narrow as he turns back. What did you just do? I hold up my phone, showing him the sent confirmation. Business is business, Alfred. The fury that crosses his face is terrifying. He lunges across the desk, grabbing for my wrist. Give me that phone! I sidestep, but he catches my arm, fingers digging painfully into my skin. We struggle, his strength overwhelming mine. Let her go. Emma's voice cuts through the room. She stands in the doorway, Bryant beside her, both of their phones held up, recording. Alfred freezes, calculation passing across his face. He releases me with a shove that sends me stumbling backward. "This proves nothing," he says, straightening his shirt. "It's your word against mine." "Actually," Bryant steps forward, "it's your words against you. That confession about defrauding Reese Henderson? Very compelling evidence." Alfred's face drains of color as he realizes the extent of what I've recorded. "You won't get away with this," he hisses at me. I pull the emerald necklace from my purse, holding it up to the light. "I already have. The police station smells like industrial cleaner and bad coffee. I've been answering the same questions for 3 hours, my voice growing hoarse as I explain Alfred's scheme again and again. The recording makes it straightforward, but the detective wants every detail. "And the necklace?" she asks, making notes. "A family heirloom." I place the velvet pouch on the table, apparently worth far more than we realized. She nods. "We'll need to keep this as evidence temporarily." I understand. I glance at the clock, nearly midnight. Is my sister still here? Finishing her statement in the next room. When I'm finally released, I find Emma waiting in the lobby, scrolling through her phone. "Bryant took your mother home," she says, standing. "Alfred's being held without bail, flight risk." "And Violet?" Emma hesitates. Still inside, Daria's waiting for her. As if summoned by her name, Violet emerges from a side door, looking small and exhausted. When she sees me, she stops, uncertainty written across her face. "I'll wait in the car," Emma says, squeezing my arm before slipping outside. Violet and I stand in silence, the fluorescent lights humming overhead. All the anger I've carried these past weeks feels suddenly heavy, exhausting. "I didn't know," she finally says, "about Mom's money, about the necklace." "I know," her eyes widen slightly. "You believe me?" "Alfred manipulated all of us." I take a step closer. "But that doesn't erase what you did, Violet. You still chose to sleep with my fiancé. You still chose to humiliate me at my wedding." She looks down. "I was jealous of everything you had, everything you were." "And now?" I ask. "What do you think I have now?" Tears fill her eyes. "Your dignity, your strength." She wipes her cheek. "I never had either." The admission hangs between us, not quite an apology, but perhaps the most honest thing she's ever said to me. "Where will you go tonight?" I ask. "Daria's offering her couch." She attempts a smile. "Apparently, I've used up all my betrayal allowance with her." I nod, not yet ready to offer more. "Get some rest. We'll talk tomorrow." As she turns to leave, I add, "Violet, I'm glad you're safe." The surprise in her eyes says everything about our relationship, how broken it's been, long before Alfred entered our lives. Dawn breaks as I unlock my apartment door, Emma trailing behind me. We're both exhausted, moving on autopilot as we kick off shoes and collapse onto the couch. "You should sleep," Emma says, stifling a yawn. "Not yet." I pull out my phone, dialing a number I rarely use. My mother answers on the first ring, voice alert despite the hour. "Noelle, is it over?" "Alfred's in custody. The police have everything they need." I take a deep breath. "But we need to talk about what happens next." "I've lost everything," she says quietly. "The investments, the house equity. Not everything." I meet Emma's questioning gaze. "I'm transferring funds from my trust to cover your losses." Silence on the line. Then, "I can't accept that." "You're not accepting anything. I'm fixing what Alfred broke." I pause. "But there are conditions." "What conditions?" Her voice turns wary. "Family therapy, you, me, and Violet, weekly." Another long silence. Is that really necessary? Yes. My voice is firm. What happened with Alfred exposed cracks that were already there? We need to address them. And if I refuse? Then you'll still get the money. I close my eyes, finding strength I didn't know I had. But you won't have me. I hear her sharp intake of breath. You'd cut me off? I'd stop enabling patterns that hurt all of us. The words feel right as I say them. I love you, Mom, but I won't sacrifice my well-being for your comfort anymore. When she finally speaks, her voice is different, smaller, but somehow more real than I've heard in years. When do we start? After we hang up, Emma studies me. You okay? Getting there. I lean back, exhaustion washing over me. I never thought I'd be using my trust fund to bail out my mother and rebuild a relationship with the sister who slept with my fiancé. Emma smiles. Life's funny that way. Hilarious. But I find myself smiling too. My phone buzzes with a text from Bryant. Just heard from the jeweler. Your grandmother's emerald is indeed museum quality. The authentication is legitimate. I show Emma the message. At least one good thing came from this mess. Besides exposing your con man fiancé and beginning to heal your dysfunctional family? She asks dryly. Besides that, we lapse into comfortable silence as the morning light strengthens. I think about the woman I was just weeks ago, planning a wedding, trusting blindly, avoiding difficult conversations. I need to shower, I announce standing, then sleep for approximately 3 days. Emma nods. Want me to stay? No. I smile at her surprise. I'm okay being alone now. As she gathers her things to leave, I find myself standing at my window, watching the city wake up. The emerald necklace is still in police custody, but I can feel its weight around my neck, the inheritance of strength I never knew I possessed. Emma pauses at the door. What will you do with the necklace when you get it back? I turn from the window, the answer coming with unexpected clarity. Keep it safe, then someday pass it to someone who understands its true value. Not its price, its history. The story of women who survived betrayal and emerged stronger, a legacy worth more than any gemstone. I am who I choose to be, I whisper to myself as the door closes behind Emma. The words echo in my empty apartment, no longer a statement of defiance, but a simple, powerful truth.
I was 20 minutes into my wedding dress fitting when my phone pinged with an email that would destroy everything. Hold still, please, the seamstress murmured, pins between her lips as she adjusted the hem. I'd waited 3 months for this appointment, and tomorrow was our engagement party. Everything was finally falling into place. The ping came again, then again. My phone, vibrating insistently against the wooden chair where my regular clothes lay folded. Sorry, I said. Do you mind if I check that? It might be work. The seamstress nodded, sitting back on her heels as I carefully stepped off the platform in the voluminous white gown. I expected a client emergency, some last-minute brief that needed reviewing before Monday. What I got instead was an email that made my stomach drop through the floor. From Jolie Pearson to Reagan May, Vera Wolf, Sebastian Fisher, Senior Partners. Subject, concerns about serenity. I've struggled with whether to send this, but I can no longer stay silent. I've discovered Serenity has been systematically undermining client relationships and taking credit for others' work. More disturbingly, she's been leveraging confidential information from Reagan's business dealings for her own advancement. I've attached documentation. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, especially before your engagement celebration, Reagan. As her friend, I felt you deserved to know who you're really committing to. With deep regret, Jolie. My hands trembled so badly I nearly dropped my phone. Jolie, my best friend since law school. The woman who is supposed to be my maid of honor tomorrow. Are you okay? The seamstress asked, her voice sounding distant through the roaring in my ears. I need a minute, I managed, gathering the skirts of the dress and stumbling to the dressing room. I locked the door and sank down onto the small bench, my mind racing. The accusations were absurd, completely fabricated, but they were also precisely calibrated to hit my most vulnerable points. 3 years ago, I'd been falsely accused of using confidential information in a case. I'd been cleared, but the whispers had followed me. Jolie knew that. She knew exactly how to make these lies sound plausible. With shaking fingers, I opened the attachments, doctored emails, conversations taken wildly out of context, meeting notes with timestamps altered. It was thorough, calculated character assassination. I called Reagan immediately, straight to voicemail. Then Vera, my mentor at the firm, same result. My heart pounded so hard, I could feel it in my fingertips. I changed out of the wedding dress in a daze, apologizing to the confused seamstress, promising to reschedule. The silk slipped through my fingers like water as I hung it back on its padded hanger. Would I ever wear it now? Outside, the October air hit my face, but I barely felt it. I ordered a rideshare to Jolie's apartment, my thoughts a hurricane of confusion and betrayal. We'd had dinner together just last night. She'd raised a toast to my happiness, had smiled at me across the table, while this email sat in her drafts folder. 20 minutes later, I was pounding on her door. Serenity. She opened it, wearing yoga pants, and a surprised expression that I now recognized as completely fake. "What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be at your fitting?" I pushed past her into the apartment we'd spent countless evenings in, drinking wine and sharing secrets. Or so I'd thought. "Why?" My voice came out as a rasp. I thrust my phone at her, the email displayed. "What is this? Why would you do this to me?" Something shifted in her eyes then. The pretense fell away, and for a brief, chilling moment, I saw something I'd never noticed before. A cold calculation, a satisfaction. "Oh, you got that already." She took a sip from her coffee mug, completely unfazed. I thought it might take longer to make its way through the firm's servers. "Jolie, these are lies. You know they're lies." My voice rose, desperation clawing at my throat. "Reagan, the partners. You sent this to everyone who matters in my life." She set her mug down carefully on the coffee table. "Are they lies, though, or just truths no one has been willing to see about you?" "What are you talking about? We've been friends for 15 years. And for 15 years, I've watched you get everything handed to you." Her voice remained eerily calm. "The Westlake case should have been mine. The senior partnership track should have been mine. Reagan should have been mine." The room seemed to tilt sideways. "Reagan, what does he have to do with this?" Her smile then, I'll never forget it. Small, satisfied, victorious. "He's already called me, you know. So confused, so hurt. Needed someone to talk to." She examined her manicured nails. "I'll be there for him. I'm always there for everyone, aren't I? Reliable Jolie, the friend who never gets the spotlight." Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall in front of her. "You won't get away with this. I already have." She picked up her phone, showing me a text from Reagan. "Can we meet? I don't know what to think right now." "You should go," she said, walking to the door and opening it. "You have an engagement party to salvage, if it's still happening." I walked out, numb with shock, her words echoing in my head. In the hallway, my phone buzzed with a call from Vera. I answered, hearing the hesitation in my mentor's voice. "Serenity, we need to talk about this email. The partners are concerned." The first tear fell as the elevator doors closed, carrying me down into a nightmare I couldn't have imagined an hour ago. My life, my career, my future marriage, all of it now balanced on a knife's edge because of a woman I would have trusted with my life. And I had no idea how to fight back. I spent the night in Reagan's arms, but the distance between us stretched wider than the Atlantic. He held me mechanically, his body rigid against mine. The engagement ring on my finger felt heavier than it had yesterday, a weight pulling me down rather than lifting me up. "I don't understand how she could do this," I whispered into the darkness. 15 years of friendship, and she just fabricated all of it. Reagan's silence lasted 3 heartbeats too long. The documentation looked pretty detailed. Serenity. I sat up, switching on the bedside lamp. His face was carefully neutral, but his eyes gave him away. Doubt. He was doubting me. You can't seriously believe I would do those things. My voice cracked. Reagan, you know me. He ran a hand over his face. I thought I knew Jolie too. She's been my friend almost as long as she's been yours. And that's exactly why this hurts so much. She's weaponized our friendship. She's using everything she knows about me to make these lies seem plausible. The Westlake case was cleared by ethics review. I cut him off, anger flaring hot in my chest. 3 years ago, you were there. You saw what it did to me. He sat up too, the sheets pooling around his waist. I know, I remember, but the emails she attached are doctored. Reagan, look at me. I grabbed his hands. Do you honestly believe I would risk my entire career by stealing information from your company? That I would betray you like that? His hesitation was brief, but unmistakable. It cut through me like a blade. I need some air, I said, throwing back the covers and grabbing my robe. In the living room, I paced, hugging myself against the chill that seemed to have settled permanently in my bones. Our engagement party was supposed to start in 14 hours. Guests would be flying in. Reagan's parents were already at their hotel downtown. And now this. My phone lit up with a text from Vera. Meeting with senior partners, scheduled for Monday morning. Be prepared to address these allegations directly. Monday, less than 48 hours to salvage my reputation and career. I sank onto the couch, head in my hands. How do you disprove a negative? How do you fight accusations designed specifically to exploit your past vulnerabilities? Serenity. Reagan stood in the doorway, looking exhausted. I'm sorry, this is just a lot to process. For you? I laughed bitterly. My best friend just tried to destroy my life, and my fiancé is questioning whether I'm a liar and a cheat. He came to sit beside me, leaving careful space between us. I'm not questioning you. I'm trying to understand what's happening. What's happening is that Jolie wants to take everything from me, including you. I told him what she'd said about him in her apartment. His face paled. We were never, years ago before you and I met, we went on 2 dates. It was nothing. The revelation hit me like a slap. You dated Jolie, and neither of you ever told me? It wasn't dating, really. Just coffee once dinner. There was no chemistry. We agreed to be friends. Apparently she didn't get that memo, I said, my mind racing. This changes everything. Don't you see? This isn't just professional jealousy. She's been carrying this for years. Reagan looked unconvinced. That seems extreme for 2 casual dates 7 years ago. You don't know her like I do. I stood up, energy surging through me, despite my exhaustion. I need to check something. I went to my home office and dug through the bottom drawer of my desk, pulling out an old phone I'd kept as a backup. It still had all my data from 3 years ago. Before I'd upgraded, I charged it, waiting impatiently for it to boot up. When it finally came to life, I scrolled through old text conversations with Jolie, particularly around the time of the Westlake case accusations. What I found made my blood run cold. You should be careful with the Westlake files. People are talking. If anyone asks about client meetings, remember you were with me on the 15th. Reagan mentioned his company might be looking at acquisition targets. You didn't hear that from me, though. Little breadcrumbs, dropped so casually I hadn't noticed at the time. Suggestions, implications, creating a paper trail that, taken out of context, could support exactly the narrative she was spinning now. This wasn't spontaneous. She'd been laying groundwork for years. I returned to the living room, where Reagan was staring blankly at his own phone. She's been planning this, I said, showing him the texts. Look at the dates. She was setting me up even back then. He read through them, his expression darkening. This is calculated. It's worse than that, I said, taking back the phone. It means she has more. She's been collecting ammunition for years, waiting for the perfect moment to use it. The engagement party, he said slowly. The partnership decision next month. I nodded. a chill running through me. The two biggest moments of my personal and professional life. My phone buzzed with a new text. Unknown number. I have information about Jolie you might find interesting. Meet me at Riverside Park, 7 a.m. tomorrow. Come alone. Ellis. Jolie's ex-boyfriend. The one she'd dated right before the Westlake case. What is it? Reagan asked, noticing my expression. I showed him the text. This could be a trap, or it could be exactly what you need. He took my hand, squeezing it gently. The first genuine connection since the email. I'm sorry I doubted you, even for a second. It wasn't enough, not yet, but it was something. A crack in the ice between us. What about the engagement party? I asked. Reagan's jaw set firmly. We're having it. We're not giving her the satisfaction of thinking she's won. I leaned against him, exhaustion and determination warring within me. I need to meet Ellis. He might be the key to understanding what we're really dealing with, and to fighting back against a betrayal I was only beginning to comprehend. Riverside Park, at dawn, was deserted, except for a few dedicated joggers and one man sitting alone on a bench overlooking the Hudson. I recognized Ellis immediately, tall, with the same sharp jawline I remembered from photos in Jolie's apartment years ago. He watched me approach, his expression unreadable. You came, he said, standing as I reached him. No handshake offered, no pleasantries exchanged. Your text didn't leave much room for debate. The lack of sleep made my voice raspier than usual. What information do you have? Ellis gestured to the bench. When we sat, he maintained a careful distance, as if proximity to Jolie's former friend might be dangerous. She did the same thing to me, he said without preamble. Different method, same result. Complete character assassination. A jogger passed, headphones in, oblivious to the quiet devastation being discussed. What happened? I asked. 3 years ago, I was up for partner at my consulting firm. Jolie and I had been dating for 8 months. He stared out at the river. She started dropping hints to colleagues that I had gambling debts, that I'd shared confidential client information with her. None of it true. The timeline clicked into place. That was right before the Westlake case accusations against me. He nodded. I lost the partnership, then my job, then my apartment. She watched it all happen, offering sympathy while twisting the knife. Why would she do that to someone she was dating? Ellis finally looked at me directly. Because I broke up with her the week before. She'd been pushing for us to move in together, and I wasn't ready. She smiled, said she understood. 3 days later, my life imploded. My stomach twisted. And you think she's doing the same to me now? I know she is. It's a pattern. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through it. I've been watching her since what happened to me, collecting evidence. There have been others. He showed me screenshots, social media posts, news articles. 3 other people in our professional circle who'd experienced sudden, inexplicable falls from grace after crossing Jolie in some way. Why are you showing me this now? I asked, suspicion creeping in. It's been 3 years. Because she's escalating. The others were practice runs. You're different. His expression hardened. She's obsessed with your life, your success, your fiancé. Reagan told me they went on a couple of dates years ago. Ellis laughed bitterly. Is that what he said? They dated for 3 months. She was in love with him. When he ended it, she was devastated, but hid it completely. I think she's been waiting for the perfect moment to reclaim what she thinks should have been hers. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Reagan had lied, or at least severely downplayed his history with Jolie. What else wasn't he telling me? I need proof, I said, standing abruptly. Not just stories. If I'm going to fight this, I need concrete evidence. That's why I contacted you. Ellis handed me a USB drive. Everything I've collected is on here, but be careful. Jolie has powerful friends, and she's very good at playing the victim. I pocketed the drive, my mind already racing with possibilities. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. His expression was grim. This won't be easy, and you should know. I tried confronting her directly once. She turned it against me so effectively, I almost believed her version myself. I left Ellis with a new number to contact me on, my thoughts churning as I headed straight to Vera's apartment. If anyone could help me navigate this professionally, it was my mentor. Vera answered the door in a silk robe, coffee already in hand. I was wondering when you'd show up. Her apartment was exactly what you'd expect from a senior partner. Tasteful, expensive, and meticulously organized. She led me to her home office without a word. "The partners are taking this seriously," she said once we were seated. "Jolie's accusations are specific enough to warrant investigation." "They're lies," I said, leaning forward. "Calculated, deliberate lies, designed to destroy me at the most vulnerable moment in my career." Vera's expression remained neutral. "I believe you, but belief isn't evidence, and the firm needs to protect itself. I have evidence that Jolie has done this before. I placed the USB drive on her desk, and I have texts showing she was trying to set me up years ago. She didn't touch the drive. Be very careful, Serenity. If you make counter-accusations without ironclad proof, you'll look desperate. So I'm just supposed to let her destroy everything I've worked for? No." Vera's voice softened slightly. "You're supposed to be smarter than she is. Think like the lawyer you are." I slumped back in my chair. "The engagement party is tonight. Half the firm will be there. Reagan's parents. Everyone will have seen that email." "Then use it." Vera leaned forward, suddenly intense. "Jolie will be watching for signs of your distress. Don't give her the satisfaction." "You want me to pretend everything's fine?" "I want you to understand your opponent. Jolie expects you to either collapse or lash out. Either reaction serves her narrative." Vera stood, walking to her window. "What she doesn't expect is for you to remain composed and strategic." I considered this, remembering Ellis's warning about confronting Jolie directly. "The Monday meeting with the partners will proceed as scheduled, but how you conduct yourself tonight will set the tone." My phone buzzed, a text from Reagan. "My parents want to have brunch, just us. Can you meet at Bellini's at 11? Perfect." An interrogation over mimosas was exactly what I needed today. "I need to go," I told Vera, standing. "Thank you for seeing me." At the door, Vera caught my arm. "One more thing. Be careful with Reagan." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "Jolie's been spending a lot of time at the firm lately. With Sebastian, with the senior partners." Her expression was unreadable. "And with Reagan, more than you might realize." The ground seemed to shift beneath my feet again. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying information is power, and you don't have all of it yet." She released my arm. "Watch your back, Serenity." From every direction. I left her building with my mind reeling, clutching the USB drive like a lifeline. For the first time, I understood that this wasn't just about surviving Jolie's attack. It was about uncovering how deep the betrayal really went. Bellini's was Reagan's favorite brunch spot, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs. His parents were already seated when I arrived, their posture stiff as church pews. Margaret's smile tightened when she saw me, while Robert didn't bother smiling at all. "Serenity," Margaret said, rising for the obligatory air kiss. "You look tired." "Long night," I replied, sliding into the seat beside Reagan. His hand found mine under the table, but his grip felt perfunctory. "We were just discussing the party tonight," Robert said, studying his menu with unnecessary focus. "Reagan mentioned there might be some workplace complications." I shot Reagan a look. He'd told them. Of course he had. "Nothing that can't be handled," I said, reaching for water to soothe my suddenly dry throat. "Darling, if there are problems at your firm, perhaps postponing would be sensible." Margaret's voice dripped with concern that didn't reach her eyes. "No one would think less of you." That was exactly what they wanted. A quiet cancellation, a gentle withdrawal of their son from a potentially messy situation. The Mays had built their family reputation on appearances and propriety. "The party's happening," I said firmly. "This situation is temporary." Robert lowered his menu. Reagan tells us a colleague has made some serious allegations, something about misusing confidential information. Dad, Reagan warned. What? If she's going to be part of this family, we deserve to know what we're dealing with. I set down my water glass with deliberate care. What you're dealing with is a calculated attack from someone I trusted. The allegations are false. Of course, Margaret murmured, not sounding convinced at all. Though where there's smoke, Mom, Reagan interjected. I'm simply saying that perceptions matter, especially in your position, Reagan. The company board watches everything. The server arrived, saving us from the immediate tension. We ordered, and I excused myself to the restroom, needing a moment to breathe. In the elegant bathroom, I gripped the marble countertop, staring at my reflection. Dark circles shadowed my eyes. I looked exactly like what I was, a woman under siege. My phone buzzed with a text from Ellis. Check the drive yet? Focus on the folder, labeled Patterns. I hadn't had time. Between Vera's warning and this brunch, I'd barely had a moment to think. When I returned to the table, Reagan was in heated whispered conversation with his parents. They fell silent as I approached. Everything okay? I asked, sliding back into my seat. Fine, Reagan said too quickly. Just discussing logistics for tonight. Our food arrived, and we ate in strained silence, punctuated by Margaret's pointed questions about the firm's investigation process and whether my position was secure. Each question felt like a tiny needle, testing for weakness. Actually, I said, setting down my fork, I've discovered Jolie has done this before, multiple times. I'm gathering evidence now. Robert's eyebrows rose. That would certainly change things. It doesn't change that the firm is investigating, Margaret countered. The damage to your reputation is exactly what Jolie wants. I finished for her. She's counting on everyone assuming guilt before innocence. Including us, Margaret asked sharply. I met her gaze directly. You tell me. The table fell silent. Reagan shifted uncomfortably beside me. I think, Robert said finally, that we should support whatever decision you and Reagan make about tonight. It wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement, but it was something. After brunch, Reagan and I walked in silence toward our apartment. The October air carried the first real bite of autumn. You didn't tell me your parents knew, I said finally. He sighed. They called this morning. Someone from the firm had already contacted my father. I stopped walking. Who? Sebastian, apparently. He's on some charity board with my dad. Sebastian. Vera had mentioned him spending time with Jolie. The connections were multiplying. A web I was only beginning to see. Reagan, I said carefully, I need to ask you something. And I need the whole truth, not the sanitized version. He tensed. Okay? Your relationship with Jolie. Ellis told me it was 3 months. Not 2 casual dates. Reagan's face flushed. It wasn't serious. That's not what I asked. He ran a hand through his hair. Fine. Yes, we dated for about 3 months. It ended badly. She wanted more than I did. And you never thought this was relevant information, even after she sent that email. I didn't think it mattered. It was 7 years ago, Serenity. It matters because she's still in love with you. The words burst out louder than I intended. A passing couple glanced our way. Ellis says she's obsessed, that this is about taking back what she thinks should have been hers. Reagan's expression shifted from defensive to troubled. That can't be right. When was the last time you spoke with her? Before the email? He hesitated just a fraction too long. I don't know. Around the office, maybe. Reagan. He looked away. She called me last week, said she needed advice about a client situation. We got coffee. The betrayal felt like a physical blow. And you didn't think to mention this. It was nothing. Professional courtesy. There is nothing professional about what she's doing. I started walking again, faster now. I need to check that USB drive. Ellis said there's a pattern. Reagan caught up, grabbing my arm. Serenity, wait, I'm sorry. I should have told you everything. Yes, you should have. I pulled away. I'm fighting for my career, my reputation, and apparently my relationship too. I can't do that if I don't know what I'm really up against. Back at our apartment, I went straight to my laptop. The USB drive contained dozens of files, meticulously organized. The Patterns folder held timelines, screenshots, and documents tracking Jolie's behavior over years. One name in the files jumped out immediately: Sebastian Fisher. I clicked on the folder with his name. Inside was a series of emails between him and Jolie, dating back 2 years, friendly at first, then increasingly intimate. In the most recent exchanges, they discussed firm politics, partnership tracks, and me. She's too confident, too comfortable. The Westlake thing should have been a warning. Patience. The engagement announcement gives us perfect timing. Everything's in place. My hands shook as I scrolled through more messages. This wasn't just Jolie. It was a coordinated effort. With Sebastian, with others at the firm I'd considered allies. And based on the timestamps, it had begun right after I'd been put on the partnership track instead of Sebastian. My phone buzzed with a text from Vera. Need to see you before the party. My office, 4 p.m. Bring whatever you've found. I closed the laptop, a cold clarity settling over me. Tonight's engagement party wasn't just a social event to endure. It was a battlefield. And now, finally, I understood who my enemies really were. Vera's office was a sanctuary of order, law books perfectly aligned, not a paper out of place. She stood at her window, silhouetted against the late afternoon sun, when I arrived. Close the door, she said without turning. I did, then placed my laptop on her desk. It's worse than we thought. Sebastian is involved. They've been planning this for years. Vera finally turned, her expression grave. Show me. I opened the files Ellis had provided, watching Vera's face as she scanned through the evidence. Her composure barely flickered, but I caught the tightening around her eyes, the slight whitening of her knuckles, as she gripped the edge of her desk. This is comprehensive, she said finally. Ellis has been thorough. It's enough, isn't it? To stop the investigation, to clear my name. Vera closed the laptop. It's enough to start a war. They started it. And how do you plan to finish it? She circled her desk, leaning against it. These emails implicate Sebastian, who has been with the firm for 15 years and has connections to 3 of our biggest clients. The senior partners won't thank you for this revelation. So I'm just supposed to take the fall? Let them destroy my career to protect Sebastian's? I didn't say that. Vera's voice sharpened. I'm saying you need to be strategic. If you present this evidence now, it becomes a messy internal battle that could damage everyone involved, including you. I paced the office, frustration building. Then what do you suggest? The engagement party tonight. Everyone will be watching. Jolie and Sebastian expect you to be defensive, possibly emotional. They're counting on it. And if I'm not? A smile ghosted across Vera's face. Then you've already won the first battle. She was right, of course. Emotional outbursts would only reinforce the narrative Jolie was crafting. That I was unstable, untrustworthy. There's something else you should know, Vera said, her tone shifting. The partnership committee meets Monday after your hearing. Sebastian has been lobbying heavily against you. Of course he has. But 3 of the 5 partners are waiting to see how you handle this situation before making their decision. She held my gaze. Show them you can navigate a crisis with grace and strategic thinking, and you might still have a chance. The weight of it all, the betrayal, the calculated attack on my reputation, the precarious state of my career and relationship, suddenly felt crushing. I sank into a chair. Why didn't I see it? I whispered. All these years, I thought Jolie was my friend. I thought Sebastian was a colleague. I never saw the resentment building. Because you were focused on your work, not office politics. Vera's voice softened. It's both your greatest strength and your vulnerability. My phone buzzed with a text from Reagan. Where are you? We need to get ready soon. Go, Vera said, nodding at my phone. Prepare for tonight. Remember, they're expecting you to crumble. Don't give them the satisfaction. I stood, gathering my laptop. Thank you for believing me. This isn't about belief, Serenity. It's about evidence and strategy. She paused. And for what it's worth, I've always known you were the stronger candidate for partner. Sebastian knows it too. That's why he's resorting to this. Her words steadied me as I left the office. A new resolve forming. I wouldn't just defend myself. I would reclaim the narrative entirely. At home, Reagan was already dressed in his suit, pacing our living room. "There you are," he said, relief evident in his voice. I was getting worried. I was with Vera. I set my laptop down carefully. I found evidence linking Sebastian to Jolie's plan. His eyebrows shot up. "Sebastian, are you sure? Emails, texts, meeting notes. They've been coordinating this for years." I watched his face carefully. "Did you know Sebastian and Jolie were close?" "I knew they worked together sometimes." He loosened his tie slightly. "Sebastian mentioned her occasionally, but nothing that suggested this." I wanted to believe him, needed to, but doubt had taken root, and I couldn't quite shake it. "I need to get ready," I said, moving toward our bedroom. He caught my arm gently. "Serenity, are you sure we should go through with tonight? We could postpone, deal with this first." "That's exactly what they want." I pulled away. "I'm not giving them the satisfaction." In our bedroom, I unzipped the garment bag containing the dress I'd chosen weeks ago, deep emerald silk that made my eyes look almost golden. As I slipped it on, I felt like I was donning armor. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Be careful tonight. Jolie and Sebastian will both be watching for weakness. They have something planned. Ellis." I stared at the message, a chill running through me. What else could they possibly do? The damage to my professional reputation was already severe. My relationship with Reagan was strained. What more could they take? Another text arrived, this one from Zara. "Just heard about the email. What the hell is going on? Are you okay?" I hadn't spoken to Zara since the accusations surfaced. She was friends with both Jolie and me, carefully neutral in most situations. Her reaching out now felt significant. "Not okay, but fighting back. Can you meet me at the venue early, 7:30? Her response came quickly. "I'll be there." And Serenity, "I think you should know Jolie's been telling people you're unstable, that Reagan's been unhappy for months. Be prepared." The final piece clicked into place. This wasn't just about my career, or even Reagan. It was about isolating me completely, professionally and personally, before delivering the final blow. I finished my makeup with steady hands, a cold clarity settling over me. Tonight wouldn't just be about appearances. It would be about turning the tables. Reagan appeared in the doorway, watching me. "You look beautiful," he said softly. I met his eyes in the mirror. "Good. Because tonight, everyone is going to see exactly who I am, and who I'm not." Whatever Jolie and Sebastian had planned for tonight, I would be ready. The time for defense was over. Now I was going on the offensive. The venue glowed with string lights and white roses, a perfect backdrop for celebration. From the outside, no one would guess the emotional minefield waiting within. I arrived early as planned, Reagan silent beside me as we walked through final preparations. "I'll check on the catering," he said, squeezing my hand before disappearing toward the kitchen. I found Zara waiting by the bar, elegant in midnight blue, concern etched across her face. "My God, Serenity," she said, embracing me. "This is insane. I've been trying to make sense of it since I heard." "Join the club." I accepted the drink she offered. "How bad is it? What are people saying?" She hesitated, glancing around to ensure we were alone. "It's divided. Some people think it's completely out of character for you. Others, well, the Westlake case left lingering questions. And Jolie's been helpfully reminding everyone of those questions." "She's been strategic," Zara admitted. Concerned comments here, sad looks there. Sebastian's been backing her up, talking about patterns of behavior they've supposedly noticed. I took a long sip of my drink. And Reagan? What are they saying about us? Her expression told me everything before she spoke. Jolie implied he's been unhappy, that he confided in her about problems between you two. She lowered her voice. She told Amanda you've been controlling, that Reagan's been looking for a way out. The betrayal cut deep, even though I'd expected it. And people believe this? Some do. Others think it's suspicious timing. Zara studied my face. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, the first guests began arriving. Reagan reappeared at my side, his public smile firmly in place, as we greeted friends, colleagues, and family members. I felt their scrutiny like physical touch, searching glances, whispered conversations that stopped when I approached. An hour in, the room was filled with elegant dresses and tailored suits, champagne flowing freely. I'd maintained my composure through dozens of conversations, each one a careful dance around the elephant in the room. Reagan stayed close, his hand at the small of my back, but I felt the tension in his body. Then Jolie arrived. She wore white, not bridal white, but close enough to make the statement clear. Sebastian entered just behind her, his hand briefly touching her lower back, in a gesture of intimacy that confirmed everything Ellis's files had suggested. "Breathe," Zara whispered beside me. "Don't give her what she wants." Jolie made her way through the crowd, accepting hugs and kisses, playing the role of supportive friend perfectly. When she finally approached us, her smile was a masterpiece of sympathetic concern. "Serenity, Reagan," she said, embracing each of us. "I'm so glad you decided to go ahead with tonight." "Wouldn't have missed it," I replied, my voice steady, "especially since it gives me the chance to thank everyone who's shown their true colors this week." Her smile faltered slightly. "I can imagine how difficult this has been. If you need anything at all." "Actually," Reagan interrupted, his voice carrying just enough to draw attention from nearby guests, "we were hoping to speak with you privately, Jolie. And Sebastian, too, if he's available." I glanced at him, surprised. This wasn't part of our plan. "Of course," Jolie said smoothly, "though I'm not sure what Sebastian has to do with anything." "I think you do," I said quietly. "The terrace, in 5 minutes?" She nodded, her composure perfect, except for the slight tightening around her eyes. As she walked away, I turned to Reagan. "What are you doing?" "Ending this," he said firmly. "I'm tired of watching you suffer while they play games. We agreed to keep things civil tonight." That was before I saw her walk in wearing white, looking at you like she's already won. His jaw tightened. "I've been too passive in all this." "Not anymore." The determination in his voice should have reassured me. Instead, it triggered a warning bell. Reagan wasn't a confrontational person by nature. This sudden boldness felt rehearsed. On the terrace, the October night air carried a biting chill. Sebastian arrived first, drink in hand, his expression carefully neutral. "Quite the party," he said. "Though I'm surprised you went through with it, given the circumstances." The circumstances being the coordinated character assassination you and Jolie orchestrated. I kept my voice low, controlled. He didn't flinch. "That's a serious accusation. I have the emails, Sebastian, between you and Jolie, planning this for years." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, quickly masked. "I don't know what you think you have." "We have everything," Reagan cut in. "Every message, every meeting note. Ellis has been quite thorough." Sebastian's composure cracked. "Ellis, that unstable ex of Jolie's, you're trusting him." "We're trusting evidence," I said, "which the senior partners will see on Monday." The terrace door opened, and Jolie stepped out, her expression shifting as she registered the tension. "What's going on?" she asked, moving to stand near Sebastian. "They claim to have emails," Sebastian said tightly. "Between us, planning some conspiracy." Jolie's laugh sounded forced. "That's absurd. Sebastian and I barely know each other outside of work." "Stop lying," Reagan snapped with unexpected vehemence. "It's over, Jolie. The games, the manipulation, all of it." She stared at him. something raw and desperate flashing across her face. "Reagan, you don't understand. She's not who you think she is." "Neither are you." He stepped closer to me, his arms sliding around my waist. "We're going to the partners on Monday with everything. Your career at the firm is finished." The threat hung in the air. For a moment, I thought Jolie might crumble. Her face paled, her hands trembled slightly. Then Sebastian touched her arm, and her expression hardened. "You should check your evidence more carefully," she said coldly. "You might find it's not as conclusive as you think." "What does that mean?" I demanded. Sebastian smiled thinly. "It means Ellis isn't the only one who's been collecting information." The terrace door opened again. Vera stepped out, her expression grave. "Serenity, I need to speak with you, now." "We're in the middle of something," Reagan began. "It can't wait." Vera's voice left no room for argument. "Your office has been searched. Files are missing. Confidential client information. Security footage shows you accessing the building at 2 a.m. last night." The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "That's impossible. I was home all night." "I was with her," Reagan insisted. Vera's gaze was piercing. "All night? You didn't leave at any point." Reagan hesitated, just a fraction of a second, but enough. "I went for a run early this morning, but Serenity was asleep." The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. The sudden boldness, the eagerness to confront Jolie and Sebastian, the careful positioning as my defender. "You set me up," I whispered, stepping away from him. "All of you." Reagan reached for me. "Serenity, no. Don't touch me." I backed away, looking between the three of them. Jolie's satisfied smirk, Sebastian's calculated neutrality, and Reagan's desperate attempt at innocence. Vera moved to my side. "We should go. Now." As she led me away, I heard Jolie's voice behind us. "I tried to warn everyone about her. Such a shame it had to come to this." The engagement party continued inside, oblivious guests laughing and celebrating a union that had just shattered beyond repair. And somewhere in that crowd, evidence had been planted that would destroy what remained of my career. Unless I could find it first. Vera pulled me into an empty conference room off the main hall, closing the door on the sounds of celebration. "Tell me you weren't at the office last night," she demanded. "I wasn't. I was home with," the words died in my throat, "with Reagan, who had apparently betrayed me in ways I was only beginning to understand. Someone accessed confidential files on the Meridian merger using your key card. They've been emailed to a personal account." Vera's voice was tight with urgency. "The security footage shows someone who looks like you, but their face is never clearly visible." My mind raced. "Reagan went out early this morning. He said he was running, but he was gone for nearly 2 hours. Could he have taken your key card?" I closed my eyes, remembering. "It's in my wallet, in my work bag, which was in our bedroom." Vera nodded grimly. "They've created physical evidence to support Jolie's original accusations. It's elegant, I'll give them that." "What do we do?" "We find proof it wasn't you." She checked her watch. "Security keeps backup footage on a separate server. If we can get to it before they do." "We need Ellis," I said, pulling out my phone. "He knows how they operate." 10 minutes later, Ellis met us at the service entrance, his expression grim when I explained what had happened. "They're escalating faster than I expected," he said. "This isn't just about ruining your reputation anymore. This is criminal." "Can you access the security footage?" Vera asked. Ellis nodded. "I have a friend in IT at your firm, but we need to move now, before they realize what we're doing." We slipped out of the venue, leaving behind the party that was supposed to celebrate my future. The irony wasn't lost on me. Abandoning my own engagement celebration to save what remained of my career and dignity. The firm was nearly empty on a Saturday night. Ellis's friend met us in the lobby, looking nervous but determined. "The footage is already being reviewed by security," he told us, "but I can get you access to the raw files before they're processed." In the security office, we huddled around a monitor, scanning through the previous night's footage. At 2:17 a.m., a figure with my build, wearing a hooded jacket, entered using my key card. The face was always angled away from cameras. There, Ellis pointed. The walk is wrong. You can see it's not your natural gait. He was right. The person moved with a slight hesitation. I didn't have. Can we see where they went? I asked. The IT specialist switched camera views, following the figure to my office, then to the file room. 18 minutes later, they left carrying nothing visible. Digital files, Vera murmured. Sent by email, most likely. Check the logs, Ellis suggested. See what computer was used. The logs showed access from my terminal, using my password. How would they know my password? I asked, then answered my own question. Reagan, he's seen me log in before. The realization of his betrayal hit me again. A physical pain in my chest. I'd shared everything with him. My home, my future, my trust. Wait, the IT specialist said suddenly. Look at this. He pulled up another camera angle, one showing the elevator bank from a maintenance corridor. As the hooded figure waited for the elevator, they briefly turned, checking their surroundings. The face was partially visible for just a second, enough to confirm it wasn't me, it was Reagan. We need to download this now, Vera said urgently, and check the email logs, see exactly what was sent and where. The email logs showed files sent to an anonymous account at 2:43 a.m. The content, confidential client information from the Meridian merger, exactly the kind of breach Jolie had accused me of in her original email. It's not enough, I said, frustration building. We can prove it wasn't me, but we can't prove it was a setup rather than just Reagan acting alone. Ellis was scrolling through his phone. Maybe we can. I've been monitoring Jolie's accounts. Look at this. He showed us text exchanges between Jolie and Reagan, dating back weeks. Innocent at first, then increasingly intimate. Planning meetings, discussions about the future, about me. She'll never see it coming. Trust me, this is the cleanest way out for everyone. What about Sebastian? Is he still on board? Completely. He wants the partnership as much as I want you. The final text, sent just hours before the engagement party. Everything's in place. Once the files are found, she's finished professionally. You're free. The evidence was damning, complete, and it filled me with a cold, clarifying rage. We need to go back to the party, I said, gathering the evidence we'd collected. Now, Serenity, Vera cautioned. Think carefully about how you want to handle this. I'm done being careful. I'm done being their victim. I met her gaze steadily. It's time they faced consequences. Back at the venue, the party continued, oblivious to the drama unfolding. I spotted Reagan immediately, deep in conversation with Sebastian, near the bar. Jolie stood nearby, champagne in hand, laughing with a senior partner. My entrance caused a ripple of awareness. Conversations paused, heads turned. I walked directly to the center of the room, Vera and Ellis flanking me. Reagan, I called, my voice carrying across the suddenly quieting room. I think we need to make an announcement to our guests. He turned, his expression shifting from confusion to alarm when he saw Ellis beside me. Serenity, what are you doing? Telling the truth, I addressed the room at large. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight to celebrate what I thought was love and partnership. The room fell completely silent. Jolie moved closer to Sebastian, her smile fading. Instead, I've discovered what real betrayal looks like. I held up my phone, displaying the security footage. This is footage from our firm last night. That's my fiancé. My voice caught on the word, stealing confidential information, using my credentials to frame me for exactly what Jolie accused me of in her email. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Reagan stepped forward, panic in his eyes. Serenity, you're not thinking clearly. I've never been clearer. I cut him off. We also have the texts between you and Jolie. Planning all of this for weeks. Jolie pushed through the crowd, her composure cracking. This is ridiculous. You're just trying to deflect from your own actions. Am I? I turned to the gathered guests. The senior partners are here tonight, so are representatives from our biggest clients. Should we let them decide who's telling the truth? I nodded to Ellis, who connected his phone to the venue's display system. The texts between Jolie and Reagan appeared on the large screen for everyone to see, followed by emails between Sebastian and Jolie discussing how to undermine me. The evidence was undeniable, damning, complete. Sebastian was the first to break, turning on Jolie. You said this was foolproof, that no one would trace it back to us. Shut up, she hissed. But it was too late. Reagan stood frozen, his face ashen, as his parents stared at him in horror. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. Serenity, I can explain. No, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. You don't get to explain. You don't get to speak to me at all. I turned to face the room. These people who had gathered to celebrate a union built on lies. But instead of the humiliation Jolie had planned for me, they were witnessing her downfall, and Reagan's, and Sebastian's. The party's over, I announced, removing my engagement ring and placing it on a nearby table, in more ways than one. As I walked out, head high, I felt lighter than I had in days. The weight of betrayal remained, but something else had taken root alongside it. The certainty that I had reclaimed my truth, and with it, my power. Monday morning arrived with the crisp clarity that follows a storm. The firm's conference room, usually a place of strategy and negotiation, had been transformed into a tribunal. 5 senior partners sat along one side of the polished table, their expressions carefully neutral. Across from them, I sat alone. No Vera beside me, no allies, just me, a stack of evidence, and the truth. Ms. Harper, the managing partner began. We've reviewed the material you submitted yesterday, and the incident at your engagement party has certainly raised questions about the original allegations against you. I nodded, keeping my expression composed, despite the churning in my stomach. I appreciate the opportunity to present my side. Before we continue, he said, glancing at his colleagues, you should know that Jolie Pearson submitted her resignation this morning. Sebastian Fisher has requested a leave of absence. A small victory, but not enough. Not yet. And the investigation into my alleged misconduct? The partners exchanged glances. That's why we're here. The door opened, and Vera entered. Her timing perfect as always. She took the seat beside me without explanation. I believe, she said calmly, that you'll find the security footage and email logs I provided conclusively prove that Serenity was not responsible for the data breach. In fact, they prove a deliberate attempt to frame her. We've seen the evidence, the managing partner acknowledged. What concerns us is the public nature of how this situation was handled. Of course, not the betrayal or the conspiracy, but the fact that I'd exposed it publicly. Image above integrity, the unwritten rule of corporate law. With respect, I said, leaning forward, I didn't create the public nature of this situation. Jolie's original email was sent to the entire senior partnership. My reputation was attacked publicly. My response was proportional. Nevertheless, another partner interjected, clients expect discretion. The Meridian merger team has expressed concerns about continuing with our firm, given these dramatics. Vera cleared her throat. Actually, I spoke with Meridian's CEO this morning. They're requesting Serenity remain as lead counsel. They were impressed by her handling of the situation. Surprise rippled across the partners' faces. I kept mine carefully neutral, though this was news to me as well. The partnership vote is scheduled for Friday, the managing partner said, after a moment. Given these developments, we'll need to reassess the candidates. I'm withdrawing my name, I said. The statement landed like a stone in still water. Even Vera looked startled. Serenity, she murmured. Think carefully. I have. I met each partner's gaze in turn. I've spent years believing partnership at this firm was the ultimate measure of success. Recent events have clarified my priorities. If this is about the investigation, one partner began. It's about integrity, I cut in. Mine and this firm's. You were ready to believe the worst of me based on accusations without evidence. That speaks volumes about the culture here. I stood, gathering my materials. I'll complete the Meridian merger, as promised. After that, I'll be tendering my resignation. The silence that followed me out of the conference room felt like victory. Vera caught up to me at the elevator. That was either the bravest or stupidest career move I've ever witnessed. Possibly both, I admitted. You know they were going to clear you. Probably offer you partnership to avoid a lawsuit. The elevator arrived with a soft chime. I stepped inside, holding the door. I don't want a partnership offered out of fear or obligation, and I'm not interested in lawsuits. Then what do you want? The question hung between us as I considered my answer. 3 days ago, I would have said partnership, marriage to Reagan, the life I'd carefully planned. Now those plans lay in ruins. Yet I felt strangely liberated. To rebuild on my own terms, I said finally. Vera's expression softened. For what it's worth, I think you're making the right choice. And when you're ready, I'd like to talk about some possibilities. Possibilities? I've been considering starting my own practice, smaller, more selective, focused on clients who value integrity as much as results. She smiled slightly. I could use a partner with your particular combination of skill and backbone. The elevator doors began to close. I held them open a moment longer. I'll think about it. In my office, I found a small package on my desk. No note, no return address. Inside was a flash drive and a handwritten list of names and dates. Ellis's handwriting. The flash drive contained recordings, conversations between Jolie and various people she'd manipulated over the years, including one from 3 years ago, discussing how to frame me for the Westlake case breach. I sat back, a strange calm settling over me. This was power, not the kind that crushed others, but the kind that protected truth. I could destroy what remained of Jolie's career with this. Ensure she never practiced law again. Instead, I locked it in my desk drawer. Some weapons are more powerful unfired, held in reserve as protection rather than wielded for revenge. My phone buzzed with a text from Reagan. Please talk to me. I can explain everything. I deleted it without responding. Some betrayals move beyond explanation. Another text arrived, this one from Zara. Drinks tonight? No agenda, just support. I smiled slightly. Yes. Could use a friend right now. Her response came quickly. You've always had more than you realized. 7 p.m. at Marlowe's? As I typed my reply, Ellis called. Did you get the package? I did, thank you. What will you do with it? I considered the question carefully. Keep it safe. Use it only if necessary. Not going for the kill shot? He sounded surprised. Revenge would be satisfying, I admitted. But I'd rather focus on rebuilding than retribution. After we hung up, I stood at my office window, looking out at the city spread before me. 3 days ago, my world had imploded. My fiancé, my best friend, my carefully constructed future, all revealed as illusions. Yet here I stood, still breathing, still fighting, already envisioning new possibilities. My phone buzzed again. Vera. Partnership meeting just ended. They're scrambling. 3 clients have called asking specifically for you. Your position is stronger than you realize. I smiled at that. She was right, but not in the way she meant. My strength wasn't in leverage or negotiation tactics. It was in finally seeing clearly both the betrayal and the opportunity it created. The engagement ring Reagan had given me sat in my desk drawer, next to Ellis's flash drive. 2 symbols of paths not taken. I closed the drawer firmly. Some people spend their lives looking backward, nursing grievances and plotting revenge. Others move forward, carrying their scars as armor rather than anchors. I chose the latter, not because I'd forgotten the betrayal, but because I refused to let it define me. The woman who had received Jolie's email days ago would have crumbled under the weight of such deception. The woman I'd become would use it as foundation stones for something stronger, more authentic, something that was entirely mine.
I knew something was off the moment Aston's secretary called to reschedule our meeting for the third time. Not a cancellation, a brief postponement that pushed our 10 a.m. slot to 4:30 p.m. when the office would be nearly empty. Still, I straightened my blazer and practiced my smile in the elevator's reflective doors. This promotion was 5 years in the making. The 52nd floor always gave me a rush. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Manhattan's skyline, that rarefied air of success. I'd clawed my way up from assistant to senior manager, surviving 2 restructures and countless late nights. Today was supposed to be my coronation as director of operations. "Natasha, come in, come in." Aston's voice carried that practiced warmth he reserved for clients and board members. He gestured to the chair across from his desk, rather than the couch where we usually had our one-on-ones. First red flag. "Sorry about the scheduling chaos. Merger discussions are eating up my calendar." He loosened his tie slightly. "Drink? I'm having one." "I'm good, thanks." I needed clarity, not scotch. "Suit yourself." He poured 2 fingers anyway, ice clinking against crystal. "So, big day." My heart quickened. "I appreciate you making time. The team's quarterly results exceeded projections by 17%, and the Singapore expansion is ahead of schedule." "About that." Aston swirled his drink, not meeting my eyes. "The board and I have been discussing the director position extensively." I leaned forward. "I've prepared a transition plan. I can hit the ground running Monday." "Your dedication is precisely why this is difficult." He finally looked at me. "We're bringing in someone from outside." The words didn't register at first. "I'm sorry?" "Marcus Kelly, from Brightline. He starts next month." My mouth went dry. "Brightline? They're half our size, and their operations are. What they lack in scale, they make up for in innovation." Aston's smile didn't reach his eyes. "The board wants fresh perspective. 5 years. 5 years of missed birthdays, canceled vacations, and 3 a.m. crisis calls. I restructured our entire supply chain. I delivered 20% cost reduction while improving delivery times. And that's why we value you exactly where you are." He leaned back. "You're exceptional at execution, Natasha, but director level requires a different skill set." "Different how?" My voice had gone dangerously quiet. "Strategic vision, leadership presence." He gestured vaguely. "Marcus brings a certain gravitas to the role." Gravitas. The coded language wasn't lost on me. Marcus Kelly was 42, former college athlete, Wharton MBA. I was 32, state school, worked through college waiting tables. "I see." I didn't. "And my compensation adjustment?" "We're prepared to offer a 10% increase, plus stock options. Half what the director role would pay." "That's generous." "You're disappointed." He sighed like this was harder for him than me. "Look, you're valuable to us, but sometimes women in this industry need to adjust expectations." My skin went hot, then cold. "Excuse me?" "I'm being straight with you because I respect you." He leaned forward, lowering his voice. "The executive floor has a certain dynamic. The board has concerns about how you'd handle that pressure." "I've been handling pressure since I started here." "Different kind of pressure." He smiled in a way that made my stomach turn. "Look, you're smart, capable, gorgeous, obviously, but director meetings get heated, decisions get personal. Men at that level play rough." I stared at him, processing what he was really saying. "I'm doing you a favor." He finished his scotch. "The board questioned if you have the temperament. I convinced them to keep you on with a raise." "Because I'm too emotional?" The words tasted bitter. "Because you're too valuable where you are." He checked his watch. "Think of it as a stepping stone. Give it another year or two." Another year or two. On top of the 5 I'd already given. "And if Marcus fails?" "He won't." Aston stood, signaling our meeting was over. He comes highly recommended. By whom, I wanted to ask. Instead, I stood, legs wooden. Thank you for your candor. That's what I appreciate about you, Natasha. You take feedback well. He walked me to the door, hand hovering near the small of my back without quite touching it. Most women would get emotional. I stopped at the threshold. Most people would when their career hits a ceiling for reasons unrelated to performance. His smile tightened. This isn't personal, isn't it? I met his gaze directly. What exactly did you tell the board about my temperament, Aston? Nothing that isn't obvious. His voice dropped. You're ambitious. Sometimes that comes across as aggressive in women. I nodded slowly, reaching into my pocket. My fingers closed around my phone. One more question. Did Marcus negotiate his compensation package? Of course, that's what leaders do. Interesting. I slid my thumb across my phone screen, stopping the recording I'd started the moment his secretary had called. 47 minutes of crystal clear audio. Have a good weekend. The flash of uncertainty in his eyes was almost worth the promotion I'd never get. Almost. I sat in the corner booth of Café Lucerne, my usual Friday spot, but nothing felt usual anymore. The recording played through my earbuds for the fourth time, each replay making my coffee grow colder and my anger burn hotter. Sometimes women in this industry need to adjust expectations. My finger jabbed the pause button. A couple at the next table glanced over, probably noticing my white-knuckle grip on my phone. I forced my hand to relax and took a sip of lukewarm coffee. My phone buzzed with a text from Jude. How'd the big meeting go? Champagne tonight? I typed back. Rain check. We'll call tomorrow. I couldn't face my brother's inevitable disappointment on my behalf, or worse, his practical advice about playing the long game. Jude had always been the voice of reason, the one who'd talk me down from professional ledges. But this wasn't about impatience or entitlement. This was about watching a less qualified man walk into the role I'd shaped. More coffee? The waitress appeared with a pot. Please. I removed my earbuds. And maybe something stronger if you've got it. She smiled sympathetically. Bad day? Bad career trajectory. Been there. She refilled my cup. We don't have a liquor license, but the bakery next door makes rum cake that'll knock you sideways. I laughed despite myself. I'll stick with caffeine for now. As she walked away, my phone lit up with an email notification. Zuriel from Legal. Subject line, got a minute? Zuriel and I weren't close, but we'd worked together on contract negotiations. He was quiet, methodical, and kept to himself. I opened the message. Natasha, heard about the director decision. Unfair doesn't begin to cover it. If you have time, there's something you should know. Z. I stared at the screen, curiosity temporarily displacing anger. I typed back, I'm at Café Lucerne now if you're free. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, 15 minutes. While waiting, I scrolled through LinkedIn, masochistically searching for Marcus Kelly. His profile was exactly what I expected. Professional headshot with perfect teeth. Harvard undergrad before Wharton. Recommendations from industry heavyweights. Nothing in his experience suggested he could handle our operations complexity, but everything about him screamed executive material. Is this seat taken? I looked up to find Zuriel standing there, leather messenger bag slung across his chest, expression unreadable behind wire-rimmed glasses. All yours. I gestured to the empty bench across from me. He slid in, ordered black coffee when the waitress returned, then leaned forward. I shouldn't be telling you this. That's a promising start. I mean it, Natasha. This conversation never happened. I nodded, suddenly alert. Understood. He glanced around before continuing. Marcus isn't the first external hire for that position. There was another candidate 2 months ago, Eliza Winters from Meridian Group. What happened? She accepted, then withdrew a week later. Cited personal reasons. His fingers made air quotes. And 3 days before she withdrew, she had a private dinner with Aston and Charlotte from HR. My stomach tightened. Charlotte had been with the company forever, a fixture in human resources who prided herself on managing executive transitions. How do you know this? I handle the executive expense accounts. Zuriel's voice dropped further. The dinner was at Aston's club, $500 bottle of wine, listed as candidate recruitment. That doesn't prove anything, I said, though my instincts were screaming otherwise. No, but this might. He slid his phone across the table, opened to an email thread. Charlotte accidentally copied me on this exchange with Aston after Eliza withdrew. I scanned the messages, my heart pounding harder with each line. Charlotte. Situation handled as discussed. Candidate cited family concerns. Aston. Expensive lesson. Next time we vet for flexibility earlier. Charlotte. Already adjusting the profile. We'll focus on candidates who understand our culture. Aston. Good. The board doesn't need to know details. What the hell does flexibility mean? I whispered. Zuriel reclaimed his phone. I have my theories. Share them. Eliza has 2 kids. Marcus has none. Eliza asked about work-life balance in her final interview. Marcus apparently told Aston he lives for the job. The coffee turned sour in my stomach. That's discrimination. It's unprovable discrimination, Zuriel corrected. And there's more. You're not the only internal candidate who's been passed over. Diane in marketing, Amara in finance. All women, I finished. All women who pushed back on something. Diane questioned the budget cuts to her department. Amara flagged accounting irregularities. I sat back, processing. Why are you telling me this? Zuriel's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. Because I've watched you rebuild this company's operations from the ground up while Aston takes credit. Because my sister faced the same glass ceiling at her firm until someone finally spoke up. And what exactly am I supposed to do with this information? That's up to you. He stood, leaving cash for his untouched coffee. But if you decide to do something, I might have more you could use. After he left, I played the recording one more time, hearing it differently now. This wasn't just about me. It was systematic. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Natasha, it's Zlata from Client Services. Charlotte asked me to schedule your adjustment meeting for Monday. Is something wrong with your job? Zlata, 28, brilliant, ambitious, just like I'd been. I stared at her message, something hardening inside me. I thought of all the nights I'd worked until midnight, the promotions I'd been passed over for, the comments about my aggressive communication style. I picked up my phone and called Milton Emerson at the Times. We'd met at an industry conference last year, exchanged cards. He'd said to call if I ever had a story. This wasn't just my story anymore. The sky darkened as I waited outside the coffee shop, heavy clouds gathering like my thoughts. Milton was 15 minutes late. I checked my phone again. No messages, no calls. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I should just take the raise, keep my head down, play the game like everyone else. A black sedan pulled up and Milton emerged, raindrops already speckling his jacket. He spotted me and waved, hurrying over. Natasha, sorry I'm late. Editor meeting ran long. He extended his hand. Appreciate you reaching out. We ducked inside just as the rain began in earnest, claiming a corner table away from other patrons. Milton was older than I remembered, mid-50s with salt and pepper hair and the intense focus that marked career journalists. So, he said after ordering coffee, your message mentioned workplace discrimination. You have evidence? I placed my phone on the table between us. I recorded my boss explaining why I wasn't getting promoted. His eyebrows rose. Is New York a one-party consent state for recordings? Yes, I checked. Smart. He nodded approvingly. Mind if I listen? I pushed the phone toward him, watching his face as he put in earbuds. His expression remained neutral, but I caught the slight narrowing of his eyes at certain points, the almost imperceptible shake of his head. When he finished, he removed the earbuds carefully. That's explicit. And it's not just me. I leaned forward. I've learned there's a pattern. Other women passed over. An external female candidate who mysteriously withdrew. Can you prove the pattern? I have a source in legal. He has documentation. Milton's eyes sharpened. Would this source go on record? The question pulled me up short. Would Zuriel risk his job? Would I be asking him to? I don't know, I admitted, but there must be others who've experienced the same thing. Finding them is the challenge. Milton tapped his fingers on the table. HR departments are excellent at making these issues disappear one by one. Settlements with NDAs, quiet exits, gaslighting. So, what are you saying? There's no story? I'm saying we need more. Your recording is compelling, but it's one incident. Corporate PR will spin it as a misunderstanding, a disgruntled employee. My stomach sank. So, I just accept it? Let them keep doing this? No. Milton's voice hardened. We build a stronger case, find others willing to speak, even anonymously, get documentation of the pattern. And if I can do that, then we have a story that could change things, not just at your company, but potentially across the industry. He paused. But Natasha, you need to understand what you're risking. Once this goes public, your career there is over. It's already over, I said quietly. They've made that clear. Milton studied me for a moment. There's something else you should consider. These stories get ugly. The company will dig into your past, look for anything to discredit you. Are you prepared for that? The question hit harder than I expected. My mind flashed to the anxiety medication in my bathroom cabinet, the therapy sessions after my last breakup, the time I'd lost my temper in a meeting 2 years ago. I'm not perfect, I said finally, but I'm right about this. Being right isn't always enough. His tone was gentle but firm. Think it through. Meanwhile, I'll make some discreet inquiries about your company's history. We parted with a plan to reconnect in 3 days. As I stepped outside, the rain had intensified, drumming against the awning. I hadn't brought an umbrella. Need a ride? Milton offered, car service app already open on his phone. I'm good. I live close. I zipped my jacket. Thanks for meeting me. Natasha, he hesitated. Whatever you decide, document everything from now on. They'll be watching you. His words followed me through the rain, a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. My apartment felt emptier than usual that night. I paced the living room, phone in hand, debating whether to call Jude. My brother had always been my sounding board, but he was also pragmatic to a fault. He'd tell me to focus on finding another job, not fighting a battle I couldn't win. The knock at my door startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, I saw Zuriel, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. Sorry to show up unannounced, he said when I opened the door, but we need to talk. I let him in, noting the tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes darted around my apartment. What's wrong? Charlotte called me into her office today. He removed his glasses, cleaning them nervously. Asked if I'd been in contact with you. My pulse quickened. What did you say? That we occasionally work together on contracts, nothing more. He replaced his glasses. Natasha, they're already suspicious. Someone saw us at the cafe. That doesn't prove anything. It doesn't have to. They're watching the email servers, monitoring communications. He lowered his voice despite us being alone. I think they know about the recording. How could they possibly? Aston's assistant. She was at her desk when you left his office. Maybe she noticed something. I sank onto my couch. So, what now? Now, you need to be extremely careful. Zuriel sat beside me. And you need to know something else. I can't be your source anymore. What? Why? Because I have 2 kids and a mortgage. His voice cracked slightly. And because Charlotte mentioned budget cuts in legal during our conversation. It wasn't subtle. The weight of what I was up against suddenly felt crushing. They're threatening you. Not explicitly. They never do. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm sorry. I want to help, but I understand. And I did, even as disappointment flooded me. Family comes first. We sat in silence for a moment, rain pattering against the windows. There is one thing, he said finally, reaching into his bag. He pulled out a USB drive. Everything I have, email threads, expense reports, exit interviews that never made it to file. I'm not your source, but maybe this can help you find others who might be willing to speak. I stared at the small device, understanding its significance. Zuriel, if they find out, they won't, not if you're careful. He stood to leave. Just promise me something. What? Make it count. After he left, I held the USB drive like it was made of glass. The rain outside had transformed into a proper storm, thunder rolling across the city. I plugged the drive into my laptop and began to read. By midnight, I knew exactly what I was fighting, and who else might help me fight it. Monday morning arrived with that peculiar clarity that follows a weekend of little sleep and intense focus. I'd spent hours combing through Zuriel's files, connecting dots, making lists of names, women who'd left the company after being passed over, employees who'd filed complaints that mysteriously disappeared. The elevator dinged at the 38th floor. I stepped out, coffee in hand, expression carefully neutral. Act normal. Don't give them anything. Natasha! Zlata waved from her desk, bright-eyed despite the early hour. I've been trying to reach you all weekend. Sorry, I was unplugged. I smiled, hoping it looked genuine. What's up? She lowered her voice. Charlotte rescheduled your meeting for this morning, 9:30. She said it's important. My stomach tightened. Thanks for the heads up. Is everything okay? Genuine concern filled her eyes. People are talking about restructuring, and your name keeps coming up. I hesitated, studying her. Zlata had joined the company just 18 months ago, brilliant and eager. She reminded me of myself before disillusionment set in, before I learned how the game was really played. Everything's fine, I lied. Just corporate politics. She didn't look convinced. If you need anything, I know, thanks. I squeezed her shoulder as I passed, guilt gnawing at me. If I went forward with this, the fallout wouldn't just affect me. At my desk, I found an email from Charlotte confirming our meeting. The subject line read, Performance Discussion, Confidential, classic HR setup for a warning or termination. They were moving faster than I'd anticipated. I had just enough time to forward several key documents from Zuriel's files to my personal email before heading to Charlotte's office. Insurance, in case today went sideways. Charlotte's assistant waved me in without looking up. Inside, I found not just Charlotte but Aston as well, both seated at her small conference table. My pulse quickened. Natasha? Charlotte smiled warmly, too warmly. Thanks for making time. Please sit. I took the chair facing both of them, back to the door. A deliberate power move on their part. We wanted to check in after Friday's discussion, Aston began, all concerned professionalism. I sensed you were disappointed. That's one word for it. Charlotte leaned forward. We understand career setbacks can be difficult, but we see this as an opportunity for growth, not a limitation. Growth. I kept my voice even. Into what, exactly? We've been discussing your future here, Charlotte continued, and we have a proposal that might interest you. Aston slid a folder across the table. A lateral move to our Singapore office, leading the expansion you've been working on. I didn't touch the folder. Singapore. It's an exciting opportunity, Charlotte enthused. Same compensation package we discussed Friday, plus relocation benefits. When would this start? I asked, already knowing the answer. Ideally next month. Aston smiled. We need someone who understands the operations intimately. Someone they could ship 6,000 miles away. Someone who wouldn't be around to make noise when Marcus took over the role I'd built. I'm flattered, I said carefully, but my life is here, my family. Of course we understand that. Charlotte's voice oozed sympathy. Take the weekend to think it over, but we will need an answer by Friday. And if I decline? A brief silence. Then we'll need to reevaluate your current role, Aston said finally. With the new leadership coming in, there may be redundancies. There it was. Accept exile or face elimination. I see. I stood, leaving the folder untouched. I'll consider it. As I reached the door, Charlotte called after me. Oh, Natasha? I almost forgot. The company is updating our confidentiality policies. Legal will be sending around new agreements for everyone to sign. I turned back, meeting her gaze. Everyone? Senior management first. Her smile never reached her eyes. By end of day, please. Message received. They're trying to bury you, Jude said that evening, pacing my living room. I'd finally called him, needing my brother's perspective even if I didn't follow his advice. Or ship me off to Singapore. I poured more wine into both our glasses. Same difference. It's constructive dismissal, Nat. They're hoping you'll quit so they don't have to fire you and risk a lawsuit. I know what they're doing. I took a long sip. The question is what I'm going to do. Jude stopped pacing. You're not seriously considering fighting this? These people play dirty. So I've discovered. I opened my laptop, showing him the files. Look at this. 5 women in 3 years. All pushed out after raising concerns. Settlements with NDAs. Aston's expenses showing business dinners with female employees half his age. Jude scanned the screen, expression darkening. Where did you get this? Does it matter? It matters if it was obtained illegally. His lawyer instincts kicked in. Nat, if you got this through unauthorized access, I didn't steal anything, I snapped. It was given to me by someone concerned about the pattern. Someone who could lose their job. Someone who already backed out. I closed the laptop. But there are others, Jude. Women who left, who might talk if approached carefully. He sat beside me, concern etched on his face. And you're going to be the one to approach them? Put yourself at the center of this? Someone has to. Why you? His voice softened. Why not find another job, one worthy of your talents, and leave this place in your rear view? The question hung between us. Why was I doing this? For justice, revenge, to prove something? Because next time it'll be Zlata, I said finally, or some other woman who works twice as hard, only to hit the same wall. Nothing changes if we all just walk away. Jude studied me for a long moment. You know I'll support you whatever you decide, but promise me you'll be careful. These corporate types, they protect their own. I know. I squeezed his hand. That's why I need to talk to someone who wasn't protected. After Jude left, I opened my laptop again, staring at a name that had appeared repeatedly in the files. Diana Vega, former marketing director, left abruptly last year after filing a complaint against Aston. Her settlement included an NDA, but according to the files, she'd initially refused to sign. I found her on LinkedIn, currently freelancing, based in Brooklyn. My finger hovered over the message button. Once I reached out, there would be no turning back. Charlotte's warning about the confidentiality agreement echoed in my mind. They were already moving to silence me. I clicked connect and began typing. Diana, you don't know me, but we have something in common. I think it's time someone spoke up. Send. Diana chose a crowded brunch spot in Williamsburg, the kind of place where conversations disappear into the ambient noise. I spotted her immediately. Sharp bob, oversized sunglasses, shoulders tense with vigilance. She didn't remove the glasses even after sliding into the booth across from me. I almost didn't come, she said without preamble. Messaging me was risky. For both of us, I acknowledged. Thank you for meeting anyway. She studied me from behind dark lenses. Your message said you work at Pinnacle. Marketing? Operations? Senior manager? For now. A knowing smile flickered across her face. Let me guess, you were promised something they didn't deliver. Director position, given to an external male candidate instead. Diana removed her sunglasses finally, revealing tired eyes. Tale as old as time. What makes your situation different from the dozen other women they've done this to? I recorded Aston explaining why I wasn't director material. I leaned forward, and I have documentation of a pattern. Her posture changed subtly. What kind of documentation? Email threads, HR complaints that disappeared, settlement details. Including mine? Her voice sharpened. Yes? She glanced around the restaurant, then back at me. You realize I signed an NDA. I know. Then why am I here, Natasha? I took a deep breath. Because before you signed, you fought. Harder than anyone else, according to the files. You wanted something beyond money. Diana's laugh held no humor. I wanted accountability, systemic change. She stirred her untouched coffee. Instead, I got a check and a legally binding promise to shut up forever. What if you weren't alone this time? I pulled out my phone, showing her a list. 3 other women are willing to talk, NDA or not. With your help, we could find more. And do what exactly? Class action? Media exposure? She shook her head. They'll bury you in legal fees before you ever see a courtroom. I have a journalist interested, Milton Emerson from the Times. That caught her attention. Emerson? He broke the Westlake Industries story last year. Yes, but he needs more sources willing to go on record. Diana was quiet for a long moment. You know what happens to whistleblowers, right? Best case, you're blacklisted in the industry. Worst case, they destroy your reputation completely. I know the risks. Do you? She leaned forward. When I filed my complaint, they started rumors that I was unstable, that I'd made advances toward Aston and turned vindictive when rejected. Former colleagues, friends, stopped returning my calls. My stomach tightened. I'm sorry that happened to you. It wasn't just me. Every woman who's challenged them has been systematically discredited. Her eyes held mine. Are you prepared for that? The question hung between us. Was I? I thought about Zlata's admiring glances, my professional reputation built over years, Jude's concern. I have to be, I said finally, because it won't stop with me. Diana studied me for a long moment. You remind me of myself a year ago, before they broke me. You don't seem broken to me, a ghost of a smile. Good act, isn't it? She sighed. I can't go on record. My NDA is ironclad, and I've rebuilt my life. But, I can connect you with others, women who might be willing to speak. She pulled out her phone. And I can tell you things that won't appear in any documentation. For the next hour, Diana painted a picture more disturbing than anything in Zuriel's files. A boys' club mentality that extended beyond Aston to the entire executive floor. Retreats where female employees were expected to socialize after hours. Performance reviews that hinged on cultural fit rather than results. The Singapore offer, I said suddenly, did they try that with you too? Diana's expression confirmed it before she spoke. Hong Kong in my case, same playbook, export the problem. As we parted, she gripped my arm. Whatever you do, don't sign anything they put in front of you. No new confidentiality agreements, no amended contracts. Nothing. I won't. And Natasha? Her voice softened. Watch your back, literally. Don't be alone with any of them. I was still processing Diana's warnings when I returned to the office that afternoon. The floor was unusually quiet for a Tuesday. As I approached my desk, Zlata hurried over, eyes wide. Where have you been? She whispered. Charlotte's been looking for you everywhere. I had a meeting off-site. What's going on? I don't know exactly, but... She glanced around nervously. Marcus was here earlier, with IT. They were at your desk. My blood went cold. My computer? They said something about a security audit. She bit her lip. Natasha, I heard them mention your email activity. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Meeting room C now. Z. Zuriel. My pulse quickened. I need to go, I told Zlata. If anyone asks, you're in the quarterly planning session. I know. She squeezed my hand. Be careful. Meeting room C was tucked away in a rarely used corner of the floor. Zuriel was already inside, pacing. They know, he said the moment I closed the door. It did a sweep of all senior management communications this morning. They found your forwards to your personal email. How bad? Bad enough. They're building a case for corporate espionage. His voice shook slightly. Aston's called an emergency executive meeting for 4 o'clock. To discuss me? To discuss your termination. He ran a hand through his hair. And possible legal action. The room seemed to tilt slightly. They're going to sue me? They're going to try to scare you into silence. Zuriel checked his watch. You have 2 hours before that meeting ends. Get whatever you need from your desk and go. Don't come back tomorrow. But that's Natasha. His eyes met mine. This isn't a negotiation anymore. They're coming for you. Today. As if on cue, my phone lit up with an email from Charlotte. Please see me immediately regarding a serious policy violation. Go, Zuriel urged. Now. I left through the service elevator, heart pounding against my ribs. In the lobby, I texted Milton. They found out. Moving forward now. How soon can we meet? His response came seconds later. My office, 1 hour. The battle lines were drawn. There would be no going back. Rain pounded the windows of Milton's office, the sky darkening prematurely despite it being only 4 in the afternoon. I sat across from him, watching as he reviewed the materials I'd brought, the recording, Zuriel's files, notes from my conversation with Diana. This is substantial, he said finally, looking up. More than I expected. Is it enough? My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. For a preliminary story, yes. He leaned back in his chair. But you understand what happens once we publish? There's no middle ground here. They'll come at you with everything they have. They already are. I showed him the texts I'd received in the past hour. First from Charlotte demanding my immediate return, then from Aston himself, his tone shifting from professional concern to thinly veiled threats. Milton read them silently. Have you spoken with an attorney? My brother's a lawyer. He's drawing up a preemptive response. I rubbed my temples, fighting a growing headache. But legally, I'm vulnerable. I did forward company documents to my personal email. Which complicates things. Milton tapped his pen against his desk. They'll claim you stole proprietary information. Try to make the story about your actions rather than theirs. So what do? We move quickly. He checked his watch. I can have a draft ready by morning. We'll need statements from your other sources tonight. My phone buzzed again. Jude. Where are you? Call me ASAP. I need to take this, I told Milton, stepping into the hallway. Jude answered on the first ring. Nat, listen carefully. Aston's legal team just contacted my firm. They're filing for an emergency injunction. My stomach dropped. Against what? Against you disclosing any company information to anyone, including the press. His voice was tight with tension. They're claiming breach of contract, theft of trade secrets, and defamation. That's ridiculous. This isn't about trade secrets. It doesn't matter. It's a scare tactic, but an effective one. If a judge grants the injunction, you'll be legally barred from speaking to Milton or anyone else about Pinnacle. How soon? They're requesting an emergency hearing tomorrow morning. Jude paused. Nat, they're serious. The complaint includes a demand for damages, 7 figures. The hallway seemed to narrow around me. 7 figures, more money than I'd ever see in my lifetime. What do I do? Come to my office, now. We need to prepare a response. I ended the call and leaned against the wall, suddenly lightheaded. This was moving faster than I'd anticipated, spiraling beyond my control. When I returned to Milton's office, he was already on the phone, his expression grave. He held up a finger, finished his conversation, then turned to me. That was my editor. His voice was carefully neutral. Pinnacle's PR team just reached out. They're claiming you're under investigation for corporate espionage and attempting to blackmail executives. That's absurd. It's predictable. Milton's eyes were sympathetic but direct. They're trying to discredit you before the story breaks. Can they stop the story? Not if we have corroboration from multiple sources. He hesitated, but the legal threats complicate things. My editor wants to be certain we're on solid ground. My phone buzzed yet again. Unknown number. Natasha? It's Zlata. They just escorted me out of the building. They're saying I helped you access confidential files. My blood went cold. What? That's not true. I know that. Her voice trembled, but security went through my computer, and apparently I accessed HR records last month for that project Charlotte assigned me. They're saying I had no authorization. Zlata, I'm so sorry. They made me sign something before I left. I didn't know what else to do. She was crying now. I can't lose this job, Natasha. My visa? I understand. It's okay. But it wasn't. Nothing about this was okay. After calming Zlata as best I could, I turned back to Milton, my resolve wavering for the first time. They're going after people close to me, I said quietly, a junior employee who did nothing wrong. Milton nodded grimly. Standard intimidation tactic. They're showing you the collateral damage you're causing. It's working? I sank into a chair. I never wanted anyone else hurt by this. That's what they're counting on. He leaned forward. This is the moment most people back down. Take the settlement they'll inevitably offer. Sign the NDA. And if I don't, then we push forward. But I need you certain, Natasha. Once we publish, there's no going back. My phone lit up again. Aston, this has gone far enough. Meet me tonight, 8 p.m., the Gable. Just you and me. We can resolve this like professionals. I stared at the message, something cold and clear crystallizing inside me. He wants to meet, I told Milton, alone. That's a trap. Of course it is. I stood, decision made. But it's also an opportunity. For what? To get him on record one more time. I held up my phone. If he's willing to meet, he's willing to talk. And if he's willing to talk, he might say something we can use. Milton nodded slowly. But it's risky. He'll be prepared this time. So will I. I texted Jude. Meeting Aston at 8. Need you to be nearby. Then to Aston. I'll be there. The rain intensified outside, sheets of water cascading down the windows. A storm was coming, in more ways than one. You don't have to do this, Milton said quietly. Yes, I do. I gathered my things, because if I don't stand my ground now, I never will. As I left his office, my phone buzzed with a final message from Zoriel. Whatever happens next, remember why you started this. It was never just about you. He was right. It wasn't just about me. It was about Zlata, Diana, and every woman who would come after us. The thought steadied me as I stepped into the rain, heading toward a confrontation that would change everything. The gable occupied the top floor of a midtown high-rise, all dark wood and amber lighting, the kind of place where deals were sealed with handshakes and knowing glances. I arrived 20 minutes early, my hair still damp from the rain, heart hammering against my ribs. Ms. Lynch, the host greeted me by name. Mr. George is already here. Private room in the back. Of course he was early, controlling the environment, setting the stage. I need a moment. I gestured toward the restroom. Inside, I gripped the marble counter, studying my reflection. The woman staring back looked composed, but I could see the tension in her jaw, the wariness in her eyes. I touched the small recording device Jude had given me, securely clipped inside my jacket pocket, then checked my phone one last time. Jude. In the bar downstairs. Text if you need me. Milton. Remember, you're not there to defend yourself. You're there to let him reveal himself. I took a deep breath and walked out. The private dining room was separated from the main restaurant by frosted glass doors. Aston stood as I entered, his smile practiced and confident. No sign of the man who'd threatened legal action hours earlier. Natasha, thank you for coming. He gestured to the chair across from him. A bottle of expensive scotch sat between two glasses on the table. Drink? No, thank you. I remained standing. Let's skip the pleasantries, Aston. Why am I here? Please sit. His tone hardened slightly. We have matters to discuss. I sat, keeping my back straight, hands visible on the table. Such as the lawsuit your lawyers are preparing? A precautionary measure. He poured himself 2 fingers of scotch. One that can be withdrawn if we reach an understanding tonight. What kind of understanding? He took a measured sip before answering. You've put yourself in a difficult position, Natasha, removing confidential documents, making baseless accusations. They're not baseless. From where I sit, they look like the actions of a disgruntled employee who didn't get her way. His smile never reached his eyes, but I understand disappointment can cloud judgment. The condescension in his voice made my skin crawl, but I kept my expression neutral. Is that why you asked me here? To explain my clouded judgment? I asked you here because, despite everything, I still see your potential. He leaned forward. This situation can still be salvaged. How? You return all company materials in your possession, sign an agreement acknowledging your actions and accepting certain restrictions moving forward. He made it sound reasonable, even generous. In exchange, we drop the legal action and provide a severance package, 6 months' salary, plus benefits, and an NDA. Standard procedure in these situations. These situations. I repeated the words slowly. You mean when women challenge your authority? His expression flickered. This isn't about gender, Natasha. It's about professional conduct. Is that what you told Diana and Eliza and the others? The mention of those names hit their mark. Aston's jaw tightened momentarily before he regained his composure. I won't discuss other employees, past or present. Of course not. That would acknowledge the pattern. He set his glass down with deliberate care. What exactly do you hope to accomplish here? Even if your journalist friend publishes something, it becomes your word against the company's, a company with considerably more resources and credibility. It won't be just my word. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. If you're referring to Zuriel, he's already recanted his statements, admitted to misinterpreting certain communications. My stomach dropped. You're lying. Am I? He pulled out his phone, scrolled briefly, then turned it toward me. An email from Zuriel to HR, apologizing for sharing incomplete information that may have been misconstrued. The betrayal stung, even though I understood the pressure he must have been under. One source down, Aston continued. As for the others, Zlata's visa situation is precarious, isn't it? And I understand Diana's new freelance business is finally taking off. Would be a shame if potential clients heard she violated her NDA. The threat hung in the air between us. I thought of Zlata crying on the phone, Diana's warnings about what they'd done to her reputation. You really don't see it, do you? I said quietly. How you use power to silence people. I use power to protect what I've built. His voice hardened. Something you'd understand if you'd ever built anything of significance yourself. The words were calculated to wound, to remind me of my place. 5 days ago, they might have worked. I've built plenty, I said, meeting his gaze steadily, including a case against you that doesn't depend on any single person's testimony. Empty threats, Natasha. Not empty. I reached into my pocket, not for the recorder, but for my phone. I placed it on the table, screen up, showing the recording app running. And not threats. Aston stared at the phone, then at me, his expression darkening. You're recording this conversation? Just like I recorded our meeting on Friday. I leaned forward. New York is a one-party consent state, completely legal. Give me that phone. His voice was dangerously low. No. He reached across the table, but I was faster, sliding the phone back into my pocket. This meeting is over. He stood abruptly. Expect to hear from our attorneys first thing tomorrow. Before you go, I remained seated, voice steady despite my racing heart. You should know the Times has statements from 5 women detailing similar experiences with you and Pinnacle's leadership. The story runs tomorrow morning. You're bluffing. Check your email in an hour. Milton will reach out for comment as a professional courtesy. Something shifted in his expression, the first flicker of genuine uncertainty I'd seen. What do you want? He asked finally. What I've always wanted, the director position I earned, public acknowledgement of the pattern of discrimination, and no retaliation against anyone who spoke up. He laughed, a harsh sound in the quiet room. Impossible. Then I walk out that door, and tomorrow everyone knows exactly who you are. And who you are? His voice turned venomous. A vindictive, ambitious woman who couldn't handle rejection. I stood then, gathering my things with deliberate calm. That's where you're wrong, Aston. I handled rejection just fine. It's injustice I couldn't stomach. As I reached the door, he called after me. You'll never work in this industry again. You know that, right? I turned back one last time. Maybe not, but neither will you. The look on his face, rage mingled with the first real traces of fear, told me he finally believed me. Outside, the rain had stopped. The night air felt electric against my skin as I texted Milton. It's done. Run the story. Sleep never came. I sat at my kitchen table as night gradually yielded to dawn, my laptop open to the Times website, waiting. The apartment felt unnaturally quiet, as if the world itself were holding its breath. At 6:07 a.m., my phone rang. Milton. It's live. he said without preamble. Top of the digital front page. I refreshed the screen. There it was. Systematic discrimination alleged at Pinnacle Corp. My name appeared in the second paragraph, alongside words like whistleblower and retaliation. How are you feeling? Milton asked. I don't know yet. My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Ask me tomorrow. After we hung up, I remained motionless, staring at the article. 5 women had gone on record, 3 anonymously, 2 with names. Diana had changed her mind at the last minute, deciding that silence had cost her enough already. The story detailed a pattern spanning years: passed over promotions, strategic relocations, retaliatory actions. My phone began buzzing with notifications. Text messages, emails, LinkedIn requests, journalists seeking comments, former colleagues expressing shock or support. I silenced it, needing space to process. The intercom buzzed. Jude. You shouldn't be alone right now, he said when I let him in, setting down coffee and bagels I hadn't asked for, but suddenly desperately needed. Have you seen it? I asked. Of course. He squeezed my shoulder. You did it, Nat. Did what, exactly? I sank onto the couch, ended my career, started a legal battle I can't afford. Told the truth. He sat beside me. Everything else is just consequences. My phone rang again, Zuriel this time. I hesitated, then answered on speaker. I'm sorry, he said immediately. They threatened my kids, Natasha, my daughter's college acceptance. I understand, and I did. The email to HR? Written with their attorney watching over my shoulder. His voice was strained. But I want you to know, I've resigned this morning, effective immediately. Zuriel, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. Something had shifted in his tone. Relief, perhaps. I've already received 2 calls from firms wanting to discuss opportunities. Turns out having principles is marketable. After we hung up, Jude studied me. You realize what's happening, right? The story's spreading. People are choosing sides. My phone confirmed it. The article was being shared across social media, comment sections filling with similar stories from other companies, other industries. It's not about sides, I said finally. It's about patterns. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. The day unfolded in a blur of communications. Charlotte sent a company-wide email announcing Aston's temporary leave of absence, pending an internal investigation. PR released a statement expressing shock at the allegations and commitment to a thorough review. Standard corporate damage control. By afternoon, I'd heard from 3 law firms offering to represent me pro bono against Pinnacle's inevitable lawsuit. 2 competing companies had left messages about potential opportunities. A women's professional organization wanted me to speak at their conference. Your phone hasn't stopped, Jude observed as evening approached. Maybe this won't be the career suicide you feared. Maybe not. But something still felt unresolved. I need to go somewhere. Want company? I shook my head. This one's solo. The Pinnacle building looked different in twilight, less imposing somehow. Security would have my access revoked by now, but I wasn't there to go inside. I stood across the street watching employees exit, wondering which ones had read the article, which ones were discussing it in hushed tones by the coffee machine. I thought I might find you here. I turned to find Zlata beside me, her expression unreadable. Zlata, I'm so sorry about what happened. Don't be, she cut me off. I quit this morning. Your visa is being sponsored by Meridian Group. A small smile. They called after the article went live. Apparently, they're creating a new diversity initiative and wanted someone with demonstrated ethical backbone. Relief flooded through me. That's wonderful. It is. She turned to face the building. But that's not why I'm here. Why are you here? Same reason as you, I think. She nodded toward the entrance where a familiar figure was emerging. Charlotte, looking considerably less composed than usual, flanked by two men carrying boxes of her belongings. Board emergency session this afternoon. Zlata explained. Charlotte's out. So is the head of legal. They're calling it leadership restructuring. We watched in silence as Charlotte climbed into a waiting car. It won't fix everything, I said quietly. No. Zlata's shoulder brushed against mine. But it's a start. As we stood there, my phone buzzed with an email. Board of Directors at Pinnacle, requesting a meeting tomorrow to discuss organizational improvements and my potential role in future leadership. I showed it to Zlata, who raised an eyebrow. Are you going? The question gave me pause. A week ago, I would have said yes immediately, desperate for validation, for the recognition I'd earned. Now, I don't know. I put the phone away. I have other meetings tomorrow. With who? Diana and the others. Something had crystallized inside me during these past days, a purpose clearer than any corporate title. We're discussing next steps. Next steps? This was never just about Pinnacle. I turned away from the building, no longer needing to watch its lights. It's about changing the patterns, everywhere. As we walked away, Zlata glanced back once. Aren't you worried about what happens next? The lawsuits, the backlash? Terrified. I smiled, surprising myself with how genuine it felt. But I'd rather be scared and moving forward than safe and standing still. The city stretched before us, full of buildings just like Pinnacle, full of stories just like mine. The thought no longer filled me with dread, but with a strange, fierce determination. They never expected us to compare notes, I said, more to myself than to Zlata. That was their first mistake. And their last, she added, falling into step beside me. The evening air felt different somehow, charged with possibility rather than threat. I'd lost something these past days, security perhaps, or illusions. But I'd found something too, something I hadn't even known I was looking for. My voice, and I wasn't done using it.
I knew something was off the moment David's hand lingered too long on the waitress's lower back. Most people wouldn't have caught it, just a brief touch as he squeezed past her to return to our table. But I've learned to spot the subtle signs, the way his fingers curved possessively, how his eyes followed her retreating form for just a heartbeat too long. My best friend Clara beamed at him from across the table, radiant in the soft lighting of her favorite restaurant. Thank you for such a perfect birthday dinner, honey. The candlelight caught the delicate silver necklace David had given her earlier, a beautiful piece that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I took another sip of wine, forcing a smile. The food is amazing, Clara, though I still say you should have let me host at my place like usual. And miss out on David's surprise? Clara reached for her husband's hand. He knows how much I love Bellinis. Remember when we had our first date here? David's answering smile didn't quite reach his eyes. I'd been noticing that more lately. The microscopic tells, the fractional delays in his responses. Little things that needled at my instincts, honed sharp by experience. How could I forget? He squeezed Clara's fingers. Though I think Shiloh here was skeptical about us at first. Can you blame me? I'm protective of my best friend. I kept my tone light, playful, even as I catalogued the way his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. The waitress returned with our desserts, Clara's eyes lighting up at the towering slice of tiramisu. I watched David watch the waitress, another lingering look, another ghost of a smirk. My phone buzzed, a text from Gabriella. Still on for coffee tomorrow. Need your advice on something. Earth to Shiloh. Clara's laugh pulled me back. You're a million miles away tonight. Sorry, work stuff. I tucked my phone away. You know how it gets this time of year. All you do is work. When are you going to let me set you up with someone? David's friend Marcus is single now. Clara, I shot her a warning look. We've talked about this. I just want you to be happy. Not everyone is like, don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. 5 years later, and Jason's betrayal still had teeth. David cleared his throat. More wine, ladies? He signaled the waitress before either of us could answer. I watched him charm her, watched the practiced ease of his flirtation, subtle enough to seem innocent, professional enough to pass as politeness, but I recognized the dance, had seen it before, had been burned by it before. Clara was telling me about her plans to redo their guest room, her face animated with excitement. I nodded along, trying to focus on her words instead of the sick feeling in my stomach. The way David's wedding ring caught the light as he handed the waitress his credit card, the too familiar curve of his smile. We should do this more often, Clara said as we gathered our things. I miss our regular dinners. Work's been crazy. I hugged her tight, breathing in her familiar vanilla perfume. But yes, let's plan something soon. David's arm slid around Clara's waist. Thanks for coming out tonight, Shiloh. Always good to see you. I met his gaze steadily. Wouldn't miss it. Outside, the autumn air was crisp with approaching winter. I watched them walk to their car, Clara tucked against David's side, her laughter floating back to me. They looked perfect together. They always had. My phone buzzed again at 2 a.m. Clara's name lit up my screen. Her voice was raw, broken. Shiloh, I need you. Please. I think David is... The rest dissolved into sobs. But I already knew. I'd seen it coming, had been watching the signs stack up like dominoes waiting to fall. I was already pulling on shoes, grabbing my keys. I'm on my way. Just breathe, honey. I'm coming. The line went dead. I stood in my dark apartment, keys digging into my palm. The sick feeling from dinner had crystallized into something harder, colder. Because now I had a choice to make. I could be the supportive friend, help Clara pick up the pieces, or I could be something else entirely. David's smirk flashed in my memory. The waitress, the wedding ring, Clara's broken voice. My fingers brushed the recorder in my purse, the one I'd started carrying to meetings months ago, the one that had been running all through dinner. Sometimes being a good friend means getting your hands dirty, and I've never been afraid of a little dirt. The recording played for the third time, David's voice filling my darkened living room. Just a matter of timing. Clara's too trusting, she'll never suspect. Once the merger goes through next month. A woman's laugh, intimate and knowing. You're terrible. That's why you love me. I stopped the playback, my hands shaking. 3 hours had passed since Clara's call, since I'd found her curled on her kitchen floor, clutching her phone. The screen still showed the messages she'd discovered, dozens of them between David and his assistant, Rebecca. Photos, plans, promises. The irony of catching it all on my recorder felt like fate's twisted joke. I'd started carrying it after overhearing David on a suspicious call at work last week. Thought maybe he was up to something shady with the merger. Instead, I'd captured something far more personal. My phone lit up. Gabriella. I let it go to voicemail. She'd been trying to reach me since I'd texted that I was with Clara, probably worried I'd do something rash. She knew my history with Jason too well. A soft knock at my door made me jump. Clara stood there, mascara streaked down her cheeks, still wearing her birthday dress from dinner. I couldn't stay in that house. I pulled her into a hug. You don't have to. She collapsed onto my couch, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I keep thinking I must have read it wrong, that there has to be some explanation. My fingers tightened around the recorder in my pocket. I could show her right now, let her hear his betrayal in his own words. But the broken look in her eyes stopped me. What did he say when you confronted him? He denied everything, said Rebecca's just a friend, that I'm being paranoid. She wrapped her arms around herself. Maybe I am. Maybe... Stop. I sat beside her, taking her trembling hands in mine. Trust your instincts. Like you did with Jason. The name hit like a slap. That was different. Was it? Clara's voice cracked. You were so sure he was cheating. You followed him, gathered evidence, destroyed your relationship. and it turned out he was planning a surprise party. I pulled away, old shame burning hot. This isn't about me. I know you're trying to protect me, but I can't just throw away my marriage based on some texts that might not mean what I think. My phone buzzed again. Gabriella's third attempt. She'd warned me about this too, how my past could color my judgment, make me see betrayal where it might not exist. But the recording burned in my pocket like a live coal. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. Clara's phone chimed. David's name appeared on her screen. She stared at it, tears falling fresh. "Don't answer it," I said. She reached for the phone. "He's my husband." "He's lying to you." "You don't know that." She stood suddenly, swaying slightly. "God, I shouldn't have called you. I knew you'd jump straight to the worst conclusion." "Clara, no, I love you, Shiloh, but you're not objective about this. Not after Jason." The recorder felt heavier with each passing second. One press of a button would prove everything. But Clara's words echoed in my head. Not objective. Jumping to conclusions. Seeing betrayal everywhere. She gathered her purse with shaking hands. "I need to go home. Talk to him properly." "Please don't." I stepped between her and the door. "Stay here tonight. Give yourself time to think." "I can't." She hugged me briefly, her tears dampening my shoulder. "Thank you for being here, but I need to handle this my way." The door clicked shut behind her. I stood frozen, the recording burning a hole in my pocket, my best friend's footsteps fading down the hall. My phone buzzed one final time. "Gabriella." "Whatever you're thinking of doing, sleep on it first." I pulled out the recorder, David's damning words just a button press away. Clara was walking into a trap, about to let him gaslight her into doubting her own instincts, just like Jason had almost done to me. Except I'd been wrong about Jason, catastrophically, unforgivably wrong. But this time was different. This time I had proof. I plugged the recorder into my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. One email could blow everything wide open. Send the recording to Clara, to their families, to the board of directors David was trying to deceive. The cursor blinked, waiting for my decision. Protection or destruction. Truth or trust. The line between justice and revenge had never felt thinner. I opened a new email and started typing. The coffee shop buzzed with morning energy, but Gabriella's expression was pure thunder. "Tell me you didn't send that email." I stirred my untouched latte. I had to do something. Creating an anonymous account to send David's boss evidence of an affair. She leaned forward. "That's not something, Shiloh, that's revenge. It's justice." The words sounded hollow even to me. I'd been up all night after hitting send, alternating between fierce satisfaction and gnawing doubt. He's using the merger to hide money from Clara. She deserves to know. "And you think destroying his career is the way to tell her?" My phone lit up. Clara again. I'd been dodging her calls since she left my apartment last night. "He's destroying himself. I'm just speeding up the inevitable." "Like you did with Jason." I slammed my cup down, coffee sloshing over the rim. "Stop bringing him up. This is different." "Is it?" "Because from where I'm sitting, I'm watching my friend make the same mistake twice." The bell above the door chimed. I glanced up and froze. Jason himself walked in, 5 years older but instantly recognizable. He hadn't seen me yet. "Speak of the devil," Gabriella muttered. I slid lower in my seat, pulse racing. "I need to go." "Running away? That's new." Her sarcasm cut deep. "I can't deal with him right now." "Then deal with me. What's your endgame here? Best case scenario, David loses his job. Worst case, you lose Clara." "I'm trying to protect her." "No." Gabriella's voice softened. "You're trying to protect yourself from watching someone else get hurt the way you thought you were hurt." Jason was ordering at the counter. Any second he'd turn and see me. My hands shook as I gathered my things. "Clara called me this morning," Gabriella said. "She and David talked all night. He showed her all his emails, his phone, gave her all his passwords." The sick feeling in my stomach intensified. He's covering his tracks. Or maybe you're seeing what you want to see. I stood abruptly, nearly knocking over my chair. Jason turned at the noise. Our eyes met across the cafe. Recognition, surprise, something else I couldn't name. Shiloh. He took a step toward me. I fled. Outside, the morning air did nothing to cool the burning in my chest. My phone buzzed again. A text from Clara. "We need to talk, please." A reply from David's boss popped up. Anonymous allegations require substantial evidence. Recording appears edited. Matter closed. "Shiloh, wait." Jason's voice behind me sent me walking faster, but his longer stride caught up easily. "Just give me a minute," he said. "Please." I spun to face him. "What could you possibly have to say after 5 years? I'm sorry." The simple words knocked the wind from me. What happened between us, I handled it badly. Badly? I laughed bitterly. I accused you of cheating and you let me believe I was crazy for weeks. Because I was trying to keep the proposal a surprise. I never thought you'd destroy everything. My voice cracked. "Trust me, I know exactly what I did." He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture I remembered too well. "That's not... I should have just told you the truth. Watching you spiral, thinking the worst, I was wrong to let it go so far." My phone buzzed again. "Clara, David showed me everything, including the email his boss got this morning. I know it was you." The world tilted sideways. All my certainty, all my righteous anger drained away, leaving only the hollow echo of the past. "I have to go." I stepped back from Jason, from the weight of old mistakes. "Shiloh." He caught my arm gently. "Don't let what happened with us poison everything else in your life. You deserve better than that." I pulled away, but his words followed me down the street. My phone kept buzzing. Clara, Gabriella, now a message from David himself. "We need to talk about what you're doing to my wife." The recording sat heavy in my bag, suddenly less damning than it had seemed last night. What if I was wrong again? What if I was seeing betrayal through the warped lens of my own past? Or what if I was right, and letting my guilt about Jason blind me to real danger? A new text lit up my screen. From Vicente, a colleague in IT. "Found something interesting in David's company emails. Call me." My finger hovered over his name. One call could change everything, confirm my suspicions, or destroy them completely. I pressed dial. Vicente's voice crackled through my phone. "These emails are encrypted, but there's definitely a pattern. Large transfers, offshore accounts, all tied to the merger." I paced my office, blinds drawn against the afternoon sun. "Show me." "Not over the phone. Meet me at Murphy's in an hour." A knock at my door made me jump. David stood in the doorway, his usual polished smile nowhere in sight. "We need to talk." I ended the call, heart hammering. "I'm busy." "Too busy to discuss how you're trying to destroy my marriage." He closed the door behind him. The soft click felt like a trap springing shut. "I'm not the one destroying anything." I gripped the edge of my desk, grateful for its solid barrier between us. "No?" He pulled out his phone. "Let's see. Anonymous emails to my boss. Accidentally. Forwarding Clara old photos of me with my ex. Calling our wedding venue to cancel our anniversary dinner reservation." That last one wasn't me. The realization hit like ice water. I wasn't the only one watching him. "Clara trusts you," he continued. "God knows why, after what you did to Jason." My fingers twitched toward my bag, where the recorder sat waiting. "Does she trust you showing up at my office unannounced?" "She knows I'm here." His smile returned, sharp as a blade. "She's worried about you, Shiloh. We both are. This paranoid vendetta, seeing threats everywhere. Maybe you should talk to someone." The same words Jason had used, right before everything imploded. I forced my voice steady. "I have a meeting." "Of course." He stepped aside, but his next words froze me at the door. "Just remember, Clara can only handle so many betrayals, even from her best friend." The hallway felt too bright, too exposed. I ducked into the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. My phone buzzed with a text from Clara. "David told me he's talking to you. Please listen to him. I'm worried. Another from Vicente. Can't make Murphy's. Something came up. Be careful, someone accessed my computer. The walls seemed to close in. I needed air, needed to think. The elevator took forever, each floor bringing fresh waves of doubt. What if David was right? What if I was seeing conspiracies where there were none? The lobby doors opened to autumn sunshine, and Aiden, Clara's brother, waiting on the steps. Going somewhere. His usual warmth was missing. What are you doing here? Protecting my sister. He fell into step beside me. Remember when we were kids and that boy broke her art project? You convinced her to put purple dye in his shampoo. He deserved it. Maybe, but Clara got suspended too, because she trusted you more than her own judgment. I stopped walking. That was 20 years ago. And you haven't changed. He caught my arm. I've watched you do this before, Shiloh. With Jason, with your sister. You get an idea in your head and damn the consequences. You don't know what's really happening. I know Clara's crying every night. I know David's getting death threats at work. I know you're meeting someone named Vicente who's been digging through private company files. My blood ran cold. How did you... Because I've been watching too. His grip tightened. Whatever you think you found, whatever crusade you're on, stop, before you lose everything. Again. I yanked away. You're also worried about me destroying Clara's life. Has anyone considered I might be saving it? From what? A husband who adores her? A marriage that was perfect until you started seeing things? My phone buzzed. Vicente. Found something big. Meet tonight. Usual place. I have to go. I stepped back from Aiden, from his knowing eyes and painful truths. Shiloh. His voice followed me down the street. The difference between justice and obsession is knowing when to stop. But I couldn't stop. Not with Vicente's message burning in my pocket. Not with David's smirk playing on repeat in my mind. Not with the weight of all my past mistakes pressing down, demanding either redemption or repetition. My phone lit up one final time. An email from an anonymous account. I know what David's really doing, and I can prove it. Meet me at midnight. The sender's address looked familiar. The same format as the account I'd created to email David's boss. Someone else was watching. Someone else knew. I wasn't crazy, I wasn't seeing things. Unless I was. Unless this was exactly what everyone feared. Another spiral, another Jason, another bridge burned in the name of protecting someone who didn't need protection. The real question wasn't whether I could trust David, it was whether I could trust myself. The storage room smelled like dust and old coffee. Vicente's usual place turned out to be the basement of his favorite cafe, lit by a single bare bulb. He hunched over his laptop, fingers flying across the keys. Show me, I said. First, tell me why you're really doing this. He didn't look up. Because if this is about Jason... It's not. I leaned against a stack of boxes. Why are you helping me? His typing paused. Because 2 years ago, David Harrison ruined my sister's life. She found evidence of financial fraud at their company. He buried it, got her fired, blacklisted. She moved to Argentina to start over. The pieces clicked. That's why you've been tracking his emails. Looking for proof. He turned the screen toward me. Look at these transactions, all routed through shell companies, all tied to the merger. He's stealing millions. My hands shook as I scrolled through the documents. Dates, amounts, offshore accounts. A web of deception that went far beyond a simple affair. Clara's trust fund is mixed up in this, Vicente said quietly. He's using her money to cover his tracks. My phone buzzed, the anonymous emailer again. Midnight. Don't be late. I have to go. I straightened up. Send me copies of everything. Shiloh. Vicente's voice stopped me. Be careful. David's got powerful friends. The night air bit through my jacket as I walked. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since morning. Clara, Gabriella, Aiden, all trying to talk me down. All thinking they knew what this was about. But they didn't know about Vicente's sister. About Clara's money, about the depth of David's lies. The anonymous emailer had chosen a deserted park. I checked my phone, 11:58 p.m. The swings creaked in the wind, empty seats casting long shadows. "Hello, Shiloh." I spun around. Deborah stood there, my sister, whom I hadn't spoken to in 3 years, not since I'd exposed her husband's gambling addiction to their entire family. "What are you doing here?" "Stopping you from making my mistake." She stepped closer. "I'm the one who's been emailing you." "You've been watching David?" "I've been watching you." Her voice softened. The emails to his boss, the cancelled reservation, the desperate digging for proof. It's exactly what I did. And look where it got me. This is different. Is it? Or are you just better at justifying it? She pulled out her phone. "Want to know what Clara texted me today?" My throat tightened. "You're talking to Clara?" "She's worried sick. Says you won't answer her calls, won't listen to reason. Says you're acting just like you did with Jason." "Stop." I turned away. "You don't know what David's really doing." "Maybe not, but I know what you're doing. Destroying relationships, burning bridges, all in the name of justice." She caught my arm. "Just like I did." "Your husband was stealing from you." "Yes, and I was right, and being right cost me everything." Her voice cracked. "My marriage, my friends, my relationship with you, all gone because I couldn't let it go, couldn't trust anyone else to handle it." My phone buzzed again. Vicente. "David's accessing the files. He knows we looked." "I have proof," I said. "Real proof this time." "That's what I said too." Deborah's grip tightened, right up until the moment I realized being right wasn't worth being alone. Another text. "Clara, please come over. I need my best friend." "Go home, Shiloh." Deborah released me. "Before you end up like me." But I was already pulling up Vicente's files, turning the screen toward her. "Look, really look. This isn't paranoia or revenge. Clara's in danger and she doesn't even know it." She studied the documents, her expression shifting. "These transfers. He's stealing everything, using Clara's trust fund to cover his tracks. Just like Marcus did to me." She looked up, eyes sharp. "You have a plan?" "Maybe." I hesitated. "But I need help." "No." She stepped back. "I can't get involved. Not again." "Deb, please. You're the only one who understands what's really at stake." Another text lit up my phone. "David, we should discuss what you and Vicente found. Tomorrow, alone." Deborah read it over my shoulder. I watched the familiar battle play out on her face. Protection versus preservation, justice versus peace. "Okay," she finally said, "but we do this smart. No scorched earth, no public destruction. We protect Clara without destroying ourselves." My phone buzzed one final time. "Vicente. Files are gone. Everything's been wiped, but I kept copies." "First," Deborah said, "we need to talk to Clara. The right way this time." I stared at David's message, my sister's words echoing in my head. The right way. Not like Jason. Not like before. "Tomorrow," I said. "We'll talk to her tomorrow. But first, I had a meeting with David." David chose a private booth at the back of an upscale bar. Late morning sunlight filtered through stained glass, casting colored shadows across his perfect suit, his practiced smile, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Drink?" He gestured to the martini already waiting for me. "It's 11 a.m. Special occasion." He sipped his own drink. "After all, it's not every day someone tries to hack company servers." My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Deborah, wondering why I'd agreed to meet him alone. I'd silenced Clara's calls completely, couldn't bear to hear her voice until this was finished. "Vicente's sister says hello," I said. The first crack in his composure, a slight tightening around the eyes. "Ah, that explains some things. Like why he helped me find your offshore accounts. Those files were encrypted, not well enough." I pulled out my phone, pulled up the copies Vicente had saved. "Want to explain why Clara's trust fund is being funneled through shell companies in Panama?" He leaned back, studying me. You know what your problem is, Shiloh? You're so busy looking for monsters, you create them everywhere you go. The numbers don't lie. No, but they can be misinterpreted. He slid a folder across the table. Like these bank statements showing Clara authorized every transfer, or these emails where she specifically requested the offshore accounts. My hands shook as I opened the folder. Clara's signature, Clara's emails, Clara's explicit instructions, all dated months ago. She's protecting her inheritance, David said softly. From her brother's gambling debts, the same brother you've been conspiring with. Aiden owes hundreds of thousands to some very dangerous people. Clara's been helping him in secret for months. He took another sip. But you'd know that if you'd actually talked to her instead of playing detective. My phone buzzed again. This time I checked it. Deborah. Don't trust anything he shows you. Classic misdirection. Still getting instructions from your sister? David's smile turned sharp. How is Deborah? Still bitter about her own failed crusade. Ice spread through my veins. How did you... I do my research too. He leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to drop this vendetta, delete the files, forget what you think you know. Go apologize to Clara for doubting her judgment, again. Or what? Or those dangerous people Aiden owes money to might discover who's been helping him hide assets. And wouldn't it be tragic if Clara had to choose between saving her brother and keeping her best friend out of prison for conspiracy? My throat closed up. You're bluffing. Try me. He stood, straightening his jacket. You have until tonight to decide. Clara's hosting a dinner party. Close friends only. Come apologize, or I start making calls. He left me sitting there, staring at the documents that had seemed so damning an hour ago. My phone buzzed repeatedly. Deborah, don't let him get in your head. Vicente, those emails are dated wrong. The metadata doesn't match. Gabriella, whatever you're planning, please talk to me first. Clara, I miss my best friend. The last one broke something inside me. I dialed Vicente. The emails, I said when he answered. What exactly doesn't match? Timestamps in the metadata are from last week, but the emails are dated 6 months ago. Someone created them recently. Can you prove it? Already working on it, but Shiloh... He hesitated. If we're right about this, exposing him could put Clara in real danger. My hands clenched around the phone. What kind of danger? The kind that comes with 8-figure fraud. These aren't just transfers, it's systematic theft on a massive scale. And Clara's name is on everything. The colored shadows from the window had shifted, painting the damning folder in shades of blood red and bruised purple. I thought of Clara's signature on those documents, of Aiden's supposed gambling debts, of David's absolute confidence that I would back down. My phone lit up one final time. Clara, David says you're coming to dinner tonight. Please say yes. We can fix this. I touched the screen, tracing her words. My best friend, the person I was trying to save, the person I might destroy. Vicente, I said, how quickly can you prove those emails are fake? Give me 3 hours. I glanced at my watch. 6 hours until dinner. 6 hours to decide. Back down and let David win, or risk everything on one final play. Send me everything you find, I said. I'm done playing defense. I had a dinner party to prepare for. Clara's dinner table gleamed with the good china, candles flickering across familiar faces. Gabriella sat beside me, her knee pressed against mine in silent support. Across from us, David held court, telling some story about a client that made everyone laugh, everyone except Aiden, who kept checking his phone under the table. My own phone sat heavy in my pocket, loaded with Vicente's proof, the faked emails, the real transfers, everything. More wine, Shiloh? David's smile hadn't changed since our morning meeting. I'm good. My hand shook slightly as I covered my glass. 6 people around this table. Only 3 knew what was really happening. Clara touched my arm. You're quiet tonight. Just tired. I forced a smile. Work's been crazy. Speaking of work, David said, how's Vicente? The table went silent. Clara's hand withdrew from my arm. I wouldn't know, I said carefully. Haven't talked to him. Funny because he quit his job today. Very suddenly. David's eyes never left mine. Something about a family emergency in Argentina. My chest tightened. Vicente wasn't answering his phone. Hadn't been since his last message. Got everything. Will send from secure location. David, Clara said softly, we agreed no work talk tonight. You're right, honey. He raised his glass. To friends and family. The ones we can trust. The words hung in the air like poison. Gabriella's knee pressed harder against mine. Actually, I set down my fork. Let's talk about trust. Shiloh, Gabriella's warning whisper. But I was done waiting. Done watching David manipulate everyone around this table. Let's talk about offshore accounts and faked emails. Let's talk about why Vicente really left. Don't, Clara's voice cracked. Please. Show her the documents, Aiden said suddenly. David's head snapped toward him. What? The real ones. Aiden met my eyes. The ones proving you're setting my sister up to take the fall. Clara's wineglass crashed to the floor. Red spread across white tablecloth like blood. You're drunk, David said, and bitter about the loan I wouldn't give you. The loan? Aiden laughed harshly. You mean the blackmail? Keep quiet about the fraud, or I tell everyone about your gambling debts. Debts that don't exist. My phone buzzed. Vicente's promised email had finally arrived. Clara, David reached for her hand. They're trying to destroy us, just like Shiloh tried with Jason, like Deborah did with her husband. No. I stood up, fingers trembling as I pulled up the files. We're trying to save her. From what? Clara whispered. From this. I turned my phone toward her. Every transfer, every fake email, every shell company, all dated and verified. He's stealing millions, Clara, and he's using your name to do it. Don't look, David commanded. But Clara was already reading, her face draining of color. These are my signatures, she said, but I didn't. Because he forged them. Aiden moved to her side. I found out last month. That's why he's been pushing the merger through so fast. Once it closes, the money disappears forever. David's mask finally cracked. You ungrateful little... I called the SEC. I cut in. They have everything. Vicente made sure of it before he left. The room froze. Even the candles seemed to hold their breath. You're lying. But David's eyes darted toward his phone. Check your email. I watched him pull it out, watched his face change as he read. They're probably at your office right now. He moved so fast I barely saw it. One moment he was sitting, the next he had Clara's arm in a brutal grip. You're coming with me. Let her go. Aiden stepped forward. She's my wife. She's my best friend. I met his eyes steadily. And you're not going anywhere. Blue and red lights flashed through the windows. Clara's neighbors had good timing, exactly when Gabriella said she'd call the police. David's grip tightened. Clara whimpered. It's over, I said quietly. Let her go. For one terrible moment I thought he'd hurt her, saw the calculation in his eyes, the desperate math of a cornered man. Then Clara twisted free. Her palm cracked across his face with years of betrayal behind it. The police burst in as he stumbled back. Everything dissolved into chaos. Shouting, handcuffs, Miranda rights competing with David's threats and accusations. Through it all, Clara stood silent, staring at the evidence still glowing on my phone screen, her whole world shattering in carefully documented detail. I'm sorry, I whispered. She turned to me, tears cutting through her perfect makeup. How long have you known? Not long enough. I reached for her hand, but long enough to stop it. She threaded her fingers through mine, squeezing hard enough to hurt. Outside, police lights painted the room in alternating red and blue, like the stained glass in the bar this morning. Like a warning, like redemption. Thank you, she whispered, for not giving up on me. The police station coffee tasted like burnt chalk, but I couldn't stop drinking it. anything to keep my hands busy while Clara gave her statement in the next room. Through the window, I watched her gesture, shoulders straight despite everything, stronger than anyone had given her credit for, including me. "You look terrible." Deborah appeared beside me, 2 fresh cups in hand. "Better coffee?" "Thanks." I took one, studied my sister's face. "How did you know to send Aiden those files?" "Because I recognized David's pattern. It's the same one Marcus used: forge signatures, create fake emails, set up the spouse to take the fall." She sighed. "I just wish I'd figured it out sooner with my own husband." "You did what you could." "No." She touched my arm. "I did what I thought I had to do, alone. You did better. You built a team." The interview room door opened. Clara emerged, exhausted but resolute. Our eyes met through the glass. "Go," Deborah said softly. "She needs her best friend, not another detective." Clara was already walking toward the exit. I caught up with her in the parking lot, where false dawn painted everything in shades of grey. "They found Vicente," I said. "He's safe, testifying remotely." "Good." She wrapped her arms around herself. "The detective said they found more. Other women, other companies. David's been doing this for years." "Clara, did I ever really know him?" Her voice cracked. "Or did I just see what I wanted to see? Sometimes the hardest person to trust is yourself." The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere I'd been avoiding. After Jason, I stopped trusting my own judgment, started seeing threats everywhere. But this time you were right. This time was different, because this time I wasn't alone. I touched her shoulder. I had Gabriella to question me, Vicente to find proof, Aiden to confirm my suspicions, even Deborah to show me a better way. "And me?" Her eyes met mine. "What did you have in me?" "Everything." My throat tightened. "You're why I had to be sure. Why I couldn't just burn everything down like before. Because you deserved better than scorched earth." She was quiet for a long moment. "I got a call from Jason yesterday." My heart stuttered. "What?" "He wanted to know if you were okay. Said he's been worried since he saw you at the coffee shop." She turned to face me fully. "He told me what really happened back then. About the surprise party. About letting you believe the worst because he thought it would make the proposal more dramatic." "Clara, let me finish." Her voice strengthened. "He said his biggest regret wasn't losing you. It was teaching you not to trust yourself." The parking lot blurred. "I was wrong about him." "Yes, and you were right about David, because you learned to look for proof instead of just assuming. To build support instead of burning bridges." She squeezed my hand. "You grew." My phone buzzed. "Gabriella." "Breakfast. We all need it." "She's right," Clara said, reading over my shoulder. "I'm starving. You sure you're up for company?" "I'm sure I don't want to be alone," she managed a weak smile. "Besides, I need to thank Aiden properly and meet this mysterious Vicente who's been helping my best friend protect me. He's on video chat from Argentina. Even better, I've always wanted to practice my Spanish." We walked to my car together, shoulders brushing. The sky was lightening, turning the world from grey to gold, like truth emerging from shadows. Another text lit up my phone. "Jason, proud of you." Clara watched me delete it without responding. "You're not going to reply?" "No." I smiled, surprising myself with how much I meant it. "That story's finished. I'm ready for a new one." "Good." She linked her arm through mine. "Because I have a feeling my story's just beginning, and I'm going to need my best friend to help me write it." My phone buzzed one final time. "Deborah, coming to breakfast. We have a lot to catch up on, little sister." The sun crested the horizon as we drove, painting everything in fresh light. Ahead, I could see Gabriella waiting outside the diner, Aiden beside her, my sister's car pulling in, Vicente's face on a tablet screen, ready to join us, a team, a family, a truth hard won but worth the fight. "Ready?" Clara asked as we parked. I thought of David in his cell, of Jason's unread text, of all the paths that had led here. of trust destroyed and rebuilt, stronger in its broken places. "Ready," I said, and stepped into the light.